Hello, everyone. So welcome back after the short break that we've had. So the second session will be kickstarting with a tech talk by a very confident and charming speaker, Ms. Vaishali Sagar, Startup Ramp India lead, Amazon Web Services. So today, Ms. Vaishali is here to deliver a tech talk on Startup Ramp program by AWS Public Sector. Ms. Vaishali worked as a support specialist in Google India for over a year and had moved to PwC as an innovator. Currently, she is the Startup Ramp India lead in AWS, building Startup Ramp for public sector focused startup at Amazon Internet Services Private Limited. So without further ado, let me welcome Ms. Vaishali Sagar. Hi, Vaishali, over to you.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to the team at KSUM and the Huddle team, which is putting this together. Really love the energy and the virtual sessions that have been happening the last 48 hours. I think it's really coming to, we really would want to see how we could do all of this in person, but we're really looking forward to see how we could engage with you post the event as well. So I could get started. If I could share my screen. Give me a second. All right, thank you. I think thanks, Aishwarya, for the quick introduction. So I've worked across with a couple of corporates, Google, PricewaterhouseCoopers, where I was supporting their startups and innovation team. Right now, I'm currently with AWS to see how we could support startups within the public sector space. We all know how there's a lot of buzz with respect to B2B, B2C, D2C startups right now. But the one ignored area, which I feel strongly about in India currently, given the current ecosystem that we have, the systems and mechanisms that are already put by the government, or the processes or policies that have been put by the government, the B2G ecosystem. I think that's something that a few state governments and central government ministries have done really well with respect to what we're seeing in the country right now and prioritizing the way in which startups are working towards digital transformation projects, et cetera, with respect to government, PSUs, et cetera, right? That's very interesting for us to see how we could support and build for the government and have startups as a part of that journey. And I think that's what I'm going to talk about, how we've had our own share of learnings with respect to the digital transformation story in India and how AWS has been championing and supporting startups as a part of this. I'm sure you would have heard about a bunch of startup programs that AWS across globally supports with respect to the various sector agnostic programs. India has a bunch of specific programs that we support across B2B, B2C, D2C, et cetera, as well, and B2G, of course, which is what I'm going to focus on right now as we go forward. I'm going to give a quick gist and sneak peek into the programs by the end of the session, but I thought we'll just probably deep dive into what is the B2G ecosystem looking like right now and how we are as AWS supporting the ecosystem, right? And how we're trying to see while we're supporting the public sector customers on the side. How do we empower and bring the startups on board as a part of this public sector organizations while working and solving their problems? This is one quick, just about how we're trying to connect the dots, how we're trying to join forces, government, cloud, and startups. I think these are the buzzwords that you've heard so far with respect to what's been happening. And the success of the mission mode projects that are being run by the existing governments, both at the state and the central level, depends on identifying and solving many unstated and unsolved problems. I think that's what a lot of startups and entrepreneurs here are looking for as well, while they're trying to chase these respective solutions for the respective problems, which are usually not stated, not solved. Startups also bring the disruptive, innovative solutions, as I mentioned, and we all understand, and that can be procured through traditional methods. We all understand the process that government, public sector organizations generally conduct while procuring it from the regular organizations, the traditional way of RFPs, EOIs, et cetera, right? While we see, as I mentioned, we see a great interest with respect to startups coming up in the sectors, especially in the government business. We see that the government has the mandate, reach, and the scale that can impact the startups that need to go big. And this is not just with respect to a particular sector, but this is sector agnostic, as we understand. So we're trying to see how do we join our forces with respect to cloud, startups, and government. And that's what here I have right now, which is called Startup Ramp Program. So Startup Ramp Program is a Global Acceleration Program. We've launched this in India, and India is the first country to launch this as we speak. We personally treat India as the sandbox for the world when it comes to launching these flagship programs and scaling it to the world. And we know that we've built it for the world, but we're kind of picking up things that we learned in Indian ecosystem, right from our stakeholders, right from our government, public sector organizations and institutions out there. So we're really proud that India is the first country to kick off this program, and we've got APJ, Korea, Japan, a couple of other regions within Dubai and Middle East as well, trying to get launched in the next couple of months and quarters. This is our global acceleration program, which is very much virtual right now as we speak. We're not really looking at a physical component to the entire program. You could be anywhere in India and solve a B2G problem, which means if your respective product, a platform, solution is trying to see how they could work across with governments, public sector organizations, which when I mean government, both at the state and the central level. If you think there are solutions running across sectors that are really solving the citizens' problem at the end, and that will really make impact at scale. That's what we're looking at. And Startup Ramp is already focusing on bringing this B2G ecosystem together while we're trying to work across with different stakeholders like Kerala Startup Mission as well, because we know the state-backed incubation and the larger startup mission activities that happen here and how successfully the programs have been driven with respect to how Kerala state has been a model state for a lot of these startup ecosystems and policies that a lot of state governments also take inspirations from. So that I think that's really an example that we really would want to see how we could take it to a next level while engaging with startups, right? So Startup Ramp is a program to see how we could nurture, engage, and onboard the public sector focused startups. And when I mean public sector focused startups, you need not just have a B2G a solution in place. You could always have a B2B and a B2C solution. But if you have a component which really works for the government, which really solves the problem of the respective government institution, that's what we're looking at. So you need not be only a B2G startup to be a part of the program. And the program supports right from your early stages of inception to the late stage or the growth stage, right? So we have a two-tier support just to make it easier for all the folks who are starting at different stages and are performing at different levels with respect to sectors. One is called an Innovator tier, which is for the early stage startups and pre-revenue startups. The other one is Member tier, which is for the post-revenue startups and the scale stage startups. And of course, the criteria is that you shouldn't cross the 100 crore in revenue, where you would not be called a startup after that. So we're following the regular DPIIT rules because we're launched in India, and that's how we see that as a benchmark with respect to how the startups are segmented across. And this is also open for economic development organizations, which means the likes of SIDBI, other organizations which are associated or affiliated with the government organizations, right? So we work closely with a lot of these stakeholders to see how we could push programs, platforms, and also policies as part of this, which means we're also talking about looking at our procurement policies, both at the state level and also at the central level. This is a quick snapshot of the sectors that we support, but not limited to. As I mentioned, we range right from aerospace to agriculture, anywhere in between where there is a solution that's impacting citizens at scale. We're speaking about solutions across smart city utilities, power, oil and gas, mining, nonprofits, health tech, gov tech, civic tech, citizen services that you could probably look at, a lot of these respective sectors, right? So these are the sectors that we have laid out right now, a few highlighted ones, but as I mentioned, there's not a limitation with respect to what you could solve for the government. If I could give a couple of examples there, I think with respect to what we're looking at, that could be an app, which could be a healthcare one that is directly working with the PHCs, that could be directly working across with the customers, and how it's trying to leverage that respective data for the government of that particular state, and try to work across with that respective government institution, right? So we can always look for ways in which how we could engage with the public sector organizations. There is an organization which is usually which is leveraging AI to understand where are the India's missing children in a particular state, leveraging AI. So, I mean, there are some beautiful use cases where you have cutting edge technologies, the sector focus that we have, and the scale at which that it operates. I think any particular solutions or the sectors that we are discussing, B2B, B2C, there's a very, the sales cycle is pretty quick when it comes to operating there. But with respect to B2G, we understand and appreciate and acknowledge the long sales cycle that usually happens. But I think that's where the real impact begins, right? So the idea is to see how we could support the startups, which are ideally looking at impact-based outcomes. Quickly coming back to the eligibility criteria of the program, as I mentioned, we have a 2-tier support, Innovator tier and a member tier. And this is pretty clear because we know the kind of support that's required at each of these stages. We're speaking of Innovator tier for the early stage startups, and the member tier is for the late stage startups. Coming to the Innovator tier eligibility criteria, you have to be founded in the past 2 years and you have to be in the pre-revenue stage. And member tier eligibility criteria is where you have to be founded in the past 10 years, pre-IPO and acquisition, of course, and not exceed the 100 crore revenue, as I mentioned earlier. And apart from this regular eligibility criteria, we're also looking at a mandatory criteria as a part of this program, which is how you demonstrate an innovative solution for public sector that's either addressing a current or a future challenge. And you should have a mission to solve problems for the public sector customers in the region, which is India in this case. So that's what we're looking at as a part of this program. And if you cut across this eligibility criteria, welcome aboard. I think that's what we're looking at when you're an entrepreneur, and how we could support you with a bunch of benefits as well. You will see in the next coming slides. Here it is. I think with respect to benefits to startups, both at the Innovator tier and also the additional members benefits that you have for the member tier. Again, this is a quick combination that we realized as AWS while we worked across with various number of startups, across initiatives, across sectors, across geographies. The common scaling mechanisms, the common challenges, the stats, the kind of feedback that we've been receiving on what will make you successful, what will make you get to the customer, what will ensure you have that scale when you're trying to reach, is what we see here on the screen. It's a combination of community, technical, financial, and go-to-market support. And all of this is offered for free as a part of the Startup Ramp program. I don't know a single program that's existing in India which is supporting the startups that are working across with the government. So here's your chance to see how you could be a part of the program and take the leverage of all that you see as a part of the benefits here. I don't really see something that will not make you successful on this. That's missing on the screen, which will, which is like a recipe to success for a B2G startup, right? We're speaking of extending the larger AWS and the Amazon support with respect to communities, with respect to extending the connections to the investors, accelerators. There are founder dinners, roundtables that we do quite often, and would want to see how we could support you from a thought leadership perspective as well. Not just the tech-specific thought leadership, but also the sector experts, because we've got a lot of people who worked at least a decade or two in those respective sectors that I was mentioning of. We've got a technical support attached to this particular program that we offer on a one-on-one basis to the Startup Ramp onboarded startups. We're speaking about customized trainings, monthly webinars, startup kits, technical office hours, architecture design, optimization reviews, scalability readiness, and security workshops. All these things, all the CTOs and the CEOs who are listening, I know what will really impact the way in which you're conducting business when you're thinking about scale. When you think of AWS, I think this is what it is when we speak of the support that we're providing. We go to an extent that we understand from the respective startups that we're trying to work with, and ensure we customize the trainings, customize the workshops as per the sector, as per the technology, as per the platform that you're trying to work on. So you will have a solution architect who will be sitting along with you to do and drive these dialogues and discussions. There's also a financial aspect with respect to how we're supporting in forms of credits. We provide AWS promotional credits. Up to $100K credit is something that we provide for all the Startup Ramp customers within India. There's also a POC funding that we could enable if we see enough progress and performance and the respective potential with respect to the solution that we have as a part of this sector. There are periodic marketing watchers and sponsorships to conference. There are a lot of Amazon AWS conferences that keep happening across. We usually see how do we support you in extending invites and opportunities where you could pitch the respective work that you're doing. And we could do a joint marketing conversation with respect to what you're seeing on go-to-market benefits as well. We're talking about connecting with the governments, connecting across with state and the central government. As AWS public sector team, we've got feet in street, both in the state and the central government ministries. We have people who walk the door every day to understand what are these issues that are really bothering the respective government departments that we're trying to work across with. So we really understand the customer, and we really would want to see how we could include and integrate the startup solution as a part of this, how we could co-create where one gets the platform, one gets the solutions. And that's how we're looking at the larger aspect of how we're offering these benefits as well, and how we bundled it just in the time that you would need, just in the way that you would need, with a very low touch and a very high impact engagement as a part of the program itself. We've got design thinking, working backwards workshops as well that we do, which means we will help you understand how we innovate at Amazon and products. With this workshop, the particular methodology is basically how we've come across AWS, how we've kind of invented on Kindle, how the products are built at Amazon in different ways, right? So the idea is, how do you build that culture of innovation within Amazon and within your organization that you're trying to work for? And that's what I think we provide as a part of these workshops as well, which is very, very valuable for a startup or a particular company which is just getting started or getting scaled. We're speaking about blogs, case studies, white papers, and social media as well. I'm sure all of those who follow the social media handles about AWS, and a couple of sessions that have been done so far in the last couple of days as well. A lot of us talk about the stories and champion the way in which startups really solve the problem of that respective sector, right? We usually look at how do we promote, how do we ensure we amplify the outreach with respect to what's being done with these respective startups, and take your story there. We talk about the business and the technical acceleration as a part of the benefits here. Again, as I mentioned, this is something that's quite interesting as a part of the entire kit that you get as a way of ensuring you scale as in it's required to the respective solution that you're building. What we do and what we don't invest cash. We don't invest direct cash and take a capital position. But we do a whole lot of other things that you see on the right from investing time, both on the business side and also on the technical side, and also on the go-to-market side, as you could see. We've got a lot of promotional credits that we provide as a part of the program. We share knowledge, experience, and wisdom. We've got to help navigate the AWS resources and support. There's so much, plenty out there. The 200 plus services, we would want to see how we could support you while we facilitate the conversations as you understand AWS in a lot more better way. We also open doors internally and externally, which is what I spoke about with respect to Government Connects. We speak about removing obstacles in the way in which you're conducting business, in the ways that we could offer support. We also leverage our consistent global footprint, which will ensure you have a global access to the opportunities and the respective platforms that we're all discussing at both Amazon and AWS. We also, as I mentioned, I'm sure every time you hear an Amazonian or an AWS person speak, you will hear at least a word or two about startups and how we're trying to support them, how we're trying to bring them on board, and at least one or two impact stories that will really stay with us. And we also take a long-term view. We just don't look at that respective proposal, that respective opportunity, but we take a long-term view with you, and how do we support you in each of your important milestones of the journey and be along with you while you build that. We also focus on helping our startups grow, both on technical and the go-to-market side. This is a quick snapshot of what we offer in deep dive as a part of the benefits. Quickly moving on. How we're supporting through the journey, supporting right from the early stages and also acceleration stage as a part of the scale stage support that you have. As I mentioned, we understand the way in which this works and would want to see how we could support you as a part of this. quick life cycle support that we offer, right from the formation to the growth and including the validation, and the number of AWS programs that will help you support as a part of this respective initiation. Quick snapshot of the innovation challenges that we work through. We've realized while working across with a lot of these public sector organizations, governments, both at state and central level, that a lot of these challenges are being put in through just to ensure they understand and bring in the startups and the innovation with respect to those problem statements or the particular sectors that they're trying to work through. And we worked across with the different state government, national governments, central government, national level challenges, global level challenges, while we bring in the problem statements together, work across with the stakeholder, build those respective processes and mechanisms so that the respective startups not just get an access to pilot. Remember this, I'm talking about not just getting an access to pilot, we're also speaking about how do we ensure we influence and facilitate the procurement mechanisms that are being leveraged or being practiced in that respective state government, in that respective sector, in that respective organization. We'd want to see how do we influence that as a part of this, and we will need all your support as a part of the stakeholder itself. That's what we're looking at as a part of this. There is industry connects that we usually enable as a part of this, and how we're looking at offering support right from their early stages. We've done a bunch of physical ones earlier as a part of this, and we've moved on to a virtual one right from COVID as a part of this. But it's interesting to see how we've moved from different cities specific challenges to how we moved into tier 2, tier 3 areas as well to discover and learn more about the entrepreneurs who are working across with these respective sectors. We would want to see how we could do that in the coming days as well, hopefully soon in physical formats. And how do we bring in the right local ecosystem partners and the right industry, sector experts in a particular room, get onto a conversation, do a roundtable, do a dinner, whatever that works out for the respective setting that we are trying to bring in with respect to procuring startups, with respect to ensuring we understand and exchange the thought processes between the startups and the public sector organizations, while we have our customers speak about the way in which they're innovating, the way in which they're looking for more solutions, and the way in which the startups are building these respective solutions. So there's a matchmaking that usually happens while we do this, and there's a lot of support with respect to how we're driving these webinars as well once we moved into a virtual format. A quick call out with respect to a couple of our startups, Manish and Sundari Venkatraman, that you could see, who've been a part of our cohorts earlier with respect to AWS, and how they've been extended the support to be a part of the exposure that they've received with the Summit that they have participated is immense. That's what we're talking about. We will take your story. We will take your story to places, to platforms, to various other areas where we really need to see how we could support you as a part of this journey. So we're looking forward to see how we could bring those elements together that will make you successful as a part of this journey. We've also done something very, very specific with respect to agri-tech. As you could see, the focus areas that we have: health, agri, education, nonprofit. So we usually look at doing these domain dialogues and drive these conversations to a fruitful, meaningful discussions, which will end up providing access to the opportunities that we see for startups and also for the customers who are looking for solutions. We're talking about a lot of global connect and market outreach through this, which I mentioned during my benefits slide. The case studies, blogs, social media support that we're offering as a part of the initiative and the program itself. We would want to see how we could ensure we build those case studies with you and ensure we amplify the outreach and the respective marketing that you're getting. So we're also talking about a lot of joint marketing initiatives as a part of these initiatives. A few snapshots that you could see, a few of our agri-tech, smart city startups, a few fintech startups who've been working wonders with respect to their particular sectors, and how a lot of opportunities are provided with respect to speaking in multiple platforms, not just the case studies and the video content that we usually create and the webinars, but also a lot of podcast series that we do, a lot of fireside chat that are usually done across with different entrepreneurs and the ecosystem. We usually invite our startup founders as well. quick snapshot of the GovTech startups that are on AWS in India. What you see is limited on the screen, but we thought we'll just give you like a range and the diversity of startups that we have who are a part of this respective cohorts in the programs. I'm coming to an end. This is a quick, brief about the startup programs. And I think we all know as startups on why we love AWS. I don't think I'll have to give reasons on that, but this is Amazon programs that'll help the startups grow your business. We're speaking about Activate, we're speaking about Migrate, EdStart, and Startup Ramp. Startup Ramp is something that I've kind of dwelled into from a B2G perspective, how we're creating programs and nurturing the startups who are working across in the public sector organizations. We're speaking about Activate with, talking about commercial sector, B2C, B2B startups. Speaking of Migrate, where you get a very, very specific support with respect to how you're moving from, offset cost of migration and how do we support you from that particular on-prem to, AWS sort of a setting, right? That's something that we offer as a part of this program. There's partner network benefits for independent solution, vendors who could take a lot of support with respect to funding benefits while you're building on AWS, while you get technical training from our most experienced senior solution architects as a part of this. There's sales and business enablement that's usually done as a part of this. There's co-marketing, of course, which is involved when you be a part of the partner network. APN partner, Amazon Partner Network program has been something that's really, really looking forward for mature startups as well. So feel free to look at our respective programs and you should be able to see all the details, but I'll be happy to see if you would need to connect to any of these respective startup programs. This AWS Marketplace, I think a lot of you would have heard about it across with Launchpad as well, and how we have Launchpad running very successfully in India and across other parts of the globe as well. This Alexa Fund, where we're discussing about equity investment for voice technology startups and developing the market for support and benefits as a part of this entire conversation that we've built across with these focused startups as well. Cool. That's bringing me back into my questions. I'm not sure if that's feasible right now, but I could probably look at sharing.
Actually, we do have a couple of questions. Is it okay?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
All right. So we have a question from Mr. Naveen. He says, I'm in my ideation stage for renewable energy public sector supply with smart grid technology from producer demanded places to avoid renewable energy wastage. Can I apply for this program? I'm in the ideation stage.
Sure. Thanks, Pradeep, for the question. If you think you are, just beginning and you don't really have an MVP in place, feel free to share more details. I will want to see how we could have you a part of it and experiment on AWS to start with as a part of the program itself. But as I said, we will support you right from inception. If you think this is something that can support you as a part of the journey, we would love to see how we could support you. You can find my coordinates here. I would really, really appreciate more emails as a part of the conversations. And I'm very quick on emails more than the regular contact. So feel free to drop me an email. I'll be happy to see how we could support you as a part of this.
All right. We have two more questions. Another one is, what is the time duration of this program?
There's no time duration, if I could really say. And I think that applies to a lot of our AWS or Amazon startup programs. Once you're into the community, you're always a part of that community. But I think just for you to make it and put things in perspective, we're speaking of you joining the Innovator tier as an early stage startup. We're looking at maybe a 1-year support that we could provide you from a credits perspective, from technical perspective. And I feel as you graduate to this respective, next steps of all the milestones that you have, we will look for other programs. There are always other programs that you could probably be a part of within Amazon in the AWS ecosystem. So keep that 1 year as a milestone, if I could really say. 1 year followed by being a part of the community where you will get continuous support as well. I think that's something that I'd like to call. But we'd love to see you how we could graduate from an Innovator tier to member tier and then be a part of the partner network or one of these programs as a part of this.
Okay, that's great. And the final question is, are there any restrictions for the ones who have already availed the AWS credits?
No restrictions. It's absolutely, as I mentioned earlier, it's a free of cost program, no restrictions, because this is just getting started. We've only launched this in July 2021, and we're having a great response with respect to program in a very, very niche sector that we're identifying and trying to acknowledge here. So this really needs, a lot of support from the existing programs as well that we have. And as I mentioned, this shouldn't really affect or be like a, if you're a part of this particular program, you can't be a part of this, you're not eligible for this one. I don't think that rule applies here, but the eligibility criteria, as I mentioned, which I could probably go back to just again, is you have to solve a public sector associated problem. And if you're solving it, you will definitely have our support as a part of the progress. I hope that answers your question, but if in case you think you would need some follow-up, I'll be happy to see how we could chat over an email and schedule calls as necessary. And Kerala Startup Mission team has been quite responsive and supportive with respect to helping us connect to the right startups as well. And they'll be happy to see how they could connect us in case if you're not able to get in touch with me directly.
Yeah, so I think that's all other questions that we have today. So thank you, Ms. Vaishali, for sharing the offerings of the Startup Ramp program with us. And I'm sure a lot of audience out there would have really benefited from the offerings and the program. And let's hope that we bridge the B2G divide as soon as possible. So thank you so much for joining with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks again, Varun, for all the support, and Aishwarya for hosting this. I look forward to interacting with you all sometime soon, and you all have a great day.
Thank you so much. We look forward to the same. Thank you. So now we move on to the Green Innovation Fund Demo Day and the roundtable discussion. For that, let me call upon Ms. Kasturi Mohan, who will be the anchor for the Demo Day and roundtable. So Kasturi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya. It was such a pleasure to even listen to you, and thank you for the invitation too. So as we start, Green Innovation Fund is one of its kind program to empower technology startups to build and scale products or services, which can create sustainable social, economic, and environmental impact. This accelerator program was launched to have an innovative and optimal solution for problems involved in zero hunger, clean water, and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, sustainable tourism, waste management, disaster management, forest and lifestyle. For the demo day, we have a roundtable on the topic inclusive growth, climate change, and startups scheduled. The roundtable is conducted to elicit insights into social impact based on climate change with inclusive growth in mind to design the future with more solutions for what is the way ahead. Now, I would like to invite Tony Jones from UNDP and Dhanaj from KSUM for contact setting.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Kasturi, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible. Hello?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're audible. Yes, you're audible. Dhanaj.
Okay, great. So, as Kasturi mentioned, now it's a demo day of Green Innovation Fund program, and it was one of its kind accelerator program exclusively for social impact startup. So this program and this accelerator program was launched in collaboration with UNDP and Harita Kerala Mission. UNDP actually funded the entire program, and Harita Kerala Mission was the knowledge and implementation partner, helping us with the ground level activities. And Startup Mission was running and designing the entire program. So this was a multi-party program, and the objective was to identify social impact startups who can address some of the interesting, some of the most pertaining climate related problems faced by the most vulnerable community in the high range region. So that was the broader context which we started off this program. And this was more like a pilot to understand what kind of programs which we should have for social impact startup, because Kerala specifically in the kind of startup ecosystem, if you look at the Startup Mission by policy, we normally looked at tech product startups. So that was basically by the policy mandate. But over years, we also been cognizant of the fact that there are a lot of startup working, may not be in the tech product, tech product framework, but also working on the impact related aspects of it. So those people who want to contribute to the society, those people who want to look at the problem statement and not exactly looking at the business revenue model of it, but looking at how they can actually contribute to the society. So the interesting, I mean, in today's morning session, there was this interesting session on the social impact and the social worthiness of blockchain, and this speaker was telling about the intersection of 1 million, 1 million impact and 100 billion market value. So that was the larger intersection of that particular area is what social impact is trying to address. So that's something which we were also looking at. I'll quickly run through the timeline of what Jeff was about, and then we'll pass on to Tony to add on the final comments, and then to Nutan and Kapil to take lead and take the roundtable forward. I'm trying to share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay. So we started the Green Innovation Program with a stakeholder consultation meeting across Kerala. We invited various stakeholders involved in incubation related activities and also in the social impact space. And with that discussion, we kind of had a blueprint of what kind of activities, what kind of program we should have. And the program was launched by the finance minister in November 2020, and the selection of startups happened over January, from December to February 2021. And we selected 11 startups from majorly 5 to 6 thematic areas, including energy, water, livelihood, agriculture, and human-wildlife conflict. And these people will be, I mean, after this roundtable, these people will be kind of pitching in front of, telling about what they are doing at between 4 to 5:15 p.m. So these startups, and we took them from the March onwards, we onboarded and we took them for a 6-month program and gave them the immersive experience working with the stakeholders. And today it's a demo. Today we are trying to kind of converge all those learnings we had by running those programs, and also trying to understand what kind of programs which we should have. And we have invited again people across the board to discuss on this, and we want to kind of brainstorm and take this forward. And over to Tony, if you want to add anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhanaj. I think today is one of the closing days of the last 1 year's journey in the Green Innovation Fund. And we are all keen to hear the key insights from the whole distinguished panel. Thank you.
Nutan, Kapil.
Yeah, thanks, Dhanesh, thanks, Tony. I think, is my screen visible?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
So I think, thank you to the UNDP and the Kerala government team for giving us this platform. Before we kickstart the brainstorming session, I'll request each one of our eminent participants to quickly introduce themselves with their name and the organization that they belong to. So over to my eminent speakers to introduce themselves.
Hi, I can go first. I'm Kinkini Roy Chaudhary, and I'm representing Accenture Development Partnerships here. It's Accenture Social Sector Consulting arm.
Hi, my name is Koshi Matthew. I'm partner with Ernst & Young EY. I'm based out of Kerala. I'm part of the Global Delivery Services Network. We are a 55,000 people organization, part of the overall EY network.
Thanks, Koshi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Srijit Narayanan, and I belong to the organization Wilco Innovations Foundation. We are one of the largest social enterprise incubators in India. Thank you.
I can go next. I'm Nutan. I'm from Research Triangle Institute. We are a 60-year-old research consulting and technology development company based out of US and have operations now in India.
I can go next. My name is Kapil. I'm from RTI International and part of Nutan's team.
Do we have other people as well?
Yeah, I can go next. I'm Samuel, and I am the co-founder of Mistio. We are a climate resilience company based here in Trivandrum.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Anusha Sharma. I'm the Program Officer for Natural Resource Management and Biodiversity team at UNDP India Country Office.
Hi, this is Arjun Marma. I'm co-founder of a company called Alcorex Technologies Private Limited. We are an IoT company which predominantly works on environmental monitoring. Thanks.
Have we come? Is there anyone else? Okay. So with that, let's jump to the brainstorming session. I think as Dhanesh and as Tony mentioned, the key objective of this session is to really identify what are the white spaces as far as climate change is concerned, white spaces for innovative products and services. That's number one. And the most important thing is within that white spaces, what specifically do you think that a startup could play a role? So that's the key objective of the brainstorming session. Just setting a context, I don't think anyone will disagree with me, but yes, climate change is really reinforcing existing inequalities and is really threatening, the basic needs that we human have, whether it is food, water, health, economic security, etc. And while that said, the climate change has several multidimensional impact, and it also threatens the achievement of, a series of the sustainable development goals that we have to achieve for ourselves. With that said, the combating climate change, I'm sure everyone would agree, focuses on two aspects. One is the mitigation action and the other is the adaptation action. As far as the mitigation actions are concerned, again, there are various aspects, whether it is clean energy, whether it is sustainable transport, or on the adaptation side, you have disaster management. There are many areas that you could focus on. These for us are just the illustrative actions that we have. But while my request to my eminent speakers would be that just do not restrict your boundaries to this. This is in no way setting the boundary for discussion. The objective is to go as wide and as open as possible. With that said, there are three critical considerations that we have from each one of you. First is we want products and technologies which positively contribute to climate change. The second thing, I think I will be repeating myself, but the important thing for us is to really look at white spaces where there is no technology intervention, but currently where the market opportunity really lies. And the third important thing is that please don't worry whether your idea or the product or services is going to be financially sound in the 1 year, 2 year, or whatever. All ideas are good ideas. And I think we look forward to really listening and learning from you what those ideas would be. So with that said, I would say that the way in which we are going to conduct today's brainstorming session is that we have three key important questions that we would request each one of you to answer. The first question is, I've really given you some broad ambit about both mitigation and adaptation areas. So for you personally, which is the problem that you feel is a priority to address? That's question number one. And number two is within that problem statement or the problem area, what is the intervention or what is the solution from a product and services that you feel is a white space? And the third question is, do you think there is a role for a startup to address that particular problem statement? So that's how we will do. My request is, I'm not going in any which order, but I'll request anyone who is going to interested in kickstarting this discussion to take the floor. We will have almost about 3 minutes for each of the participants to speak on those. So the floor is open for all of you.
Well, Nutan, this is Koshi. I may start first because I'm not the expert in this area. So I'm still learning, so I thought I will pick the stage first to start with. I may want to just talk about how our organization is involved with this agenda. EY as a firm globally, I mean, many of you might know that we are spread across 150 countries, and we have our people spread across in almost all the countries in the world. And we have taken a very aggressive stance of achieving the net zero position by 2025 or even before that. And we are already carbon negative at the moment. The reason for that is primarily our travels are all come down because of the COVID situation, and our office space usage has also drastically come down. So that's the reason we are able to actually get into net neutral and then to negative. And we are planning to take up all the initiatives aggressively so that we become net neutral as soon as possible. Apart from our own intentions to become net neutral, we want to help our clients also to take that route. I know that we being the service industry, it is much more easier, but then for the companies like oil and gas, or where it is very capital intensive and otherwise, it will be very difficult to achieve that, but then we will be supporting them in this journey. So to answer your first question, which problem concerning would you consider the priority to address? I strongly believe that although there is a lot of news and awareness going around, many a times still the businesses and the individuals think like this is a problem for a government to solve or for the governments to solve. But in reality, it is not, as we all will realize. It is for the businesses and all the individuals to also equally take part in that, and to participate it to make sure that we are effectively fighting towards it, which is an existential problem for humans and for the whole earth. So that awareness building for the whole population across the world, right? And making every individual aware of that and taking accountability and ownership of that is very important. So that is a broad level problem statement, which anyway has to get addressed. The next thing is that most of the business leaders knows that they have to get to net zero. But then still the equation to get there, or how to get there, and what is that we need to measure to get there is still not clear. So that again is a high level problem statement, which is still yet to be addressed, right? Then comes all other the minute aspects or the aspects beyond that. Let me get to the next question. I'm sure that there are a lot more bigger problems concerning it, but then I will leave it for other panelists to address that. The next question is about the intervention product services that need to address this problem. What I would say is that there is a very huge open white space which comes to address this. One is to bring in the awareness and accountability for the population, wider population, and for the businesses. And that itself is a problem statement to address, right? How can we get everyone invested into this whole, needed initiative? So we can do many services and products to ensure that. And again, the second problem I mentioned, how do we measure the, our effectiveness and our accountability, or how we are addressing our accountability is another aspect, which again is a big problem statement or a gap which is still not addressed. And even for the large consulting firms, this is again a question which is in research and getting addressed. So I would stick to the same problems, and I strongly believe that there are many solutions which can be brought to address these two problems. And again, this cannot be solved by governments or large business conglomerates or business houses. Definitely, there will be scope for startups to actually play in this space. Getting all the people onto this agenda, it's it's not an easy thing, but then I'm sure that startups can do a big role in getting that, because getting a larger population to be accountable for this makes a big difference, and that itself is a big solution to this problem. And that will actually help in solving many of the downstream problems, what I both in terms of mitigation and otherwise. And this is something I believe if we can address that, will be a great start. Let me pause there, Nutan. I know that I only touched on the top level, but there are many more things to address. I'm sure that our fellow panelists will be able to talk about that.
Thanks, Koshi. Appreciate this. Anyone else would like to? Yeah.
I may add, like, so like we generally work on the space where we have where we try to create awareness. So so our solution basically, so what problem we address and what solution we provide is very similar to what Koshi was talking about. So we work with a lot of communities, be it small communities or be it municipalities, to capture real-time data of your environment. So it could be your air, water, soil, or your weather, which then later can be used by the citizens or the folks in the community to kind of run some cognitive decisions. Say if there's like so basically if it's very community specific, we're not looking at a macro level, we're looking at a micro level. So very local information which folks can use to run cognitive decisions. Say for example, you might have a flood. Flood might give you at a high level what would be the situation in a particular district. But at a hyper local level, like very community specific information might not be there. So such situations, we feel there is a need where like a lot of hyper local systems that could give information to all the stakeholders, so that some cognitive decision can be driven is where we kind of focus on. And I think that can, in a strategic level, you can think it's more or less like a bottom-up approach, wherein you have a lot of micro communities that take up the solution and then try to address various problems related to climate, related to clean air, related to clean water. And then gradually there will be some convergence, top bottom approach and bottom up approach. We'll have some convergence which could go on a mass level. So yeah, we kind of work there. Yeah.
So you have any views, Arjun, on what kind of products and services is a white space in the work that you are doing, or otherwise as well?
Yeah. So currently, what we've learned from whatever is there in India in the market is that one very specific white space is related to water. So water generally, we still have a traditional approach of taking manual data, take the water to a lab and then get it certified. So we could slightly move to a manual way to a real-time way, wherein you could also look at sustainability of the aquatic life also. So you can do it at different water body levels, and you can also do it at your individual water tank levels, which is clearly a good space because clean water is tough to find these days. So that might be a big white space that I've seen.
Completely aligned. Anyone else wants to go next?
And Nutan, if it's okay, I could go.
Yeah, please. Yeah, Kiniki.
All right. So, Nutan, I mentioned that I represent Accenture, and similar to, I think, a lot of other organizations, Accenture has taken on the net zero ambition by 2025. Seems like all of us will get to a better place as humanity by 2025 if these ambitions are met. I am quoting from one of the researchers in terms of identifying the problem. So it's not a personal view, but more of a research-backed view, where Accenture spoke to 1,200 plus CEOs across the globe in order to identify and across industries, so including oil and gas, consumer goods, even for that matter, banking, aviation. All of these industries, of course, understand that their business is dependent on the climate crisis, and value chains are becoming much vulnerable given the change in climate, as well as the volatility of raw materials being available, or for that matter, the resilience of their supply chains got impacted during COVID. So clearly there is an emphasis on making it more sustainable. And the answer is really about using emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, quantum computing. Now, to answer your question around what have these CEOs that we spoke to across industries tell us about where is the gap? And I think the most pressing issue is about the GHG emissions. So, most of these CEOs are struggling today to manage their Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions. And they've only begun sort of advancing any kind of nature-based solutions, which is, again, one of the key factors in making their value chains more resilient. That said, they haven't done enough to mitigate the workforce disruption or to be able to transition to a green economy where most
can I request others to please put themselves on mute because I see a lot of background noise. Sorry, Kinkini. It was disturbing to hear you, so I had to jump in. Sorry, go ahead, please.
No worries. Maybe it's my end. Just give me 1 second. Then my kids are very noisy today. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Are you able to hear me fine?
Yes, I can. I can hear you better now. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I was mentioning what is the key pressing issue? What is the big problem? And I think the first big problem, which at least I can bring in the business perspective, is around managing Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions, where most of the organizations have just about begun thinking on tracking, managing, and mitigating their greenhouse gas emissions. But organizations have also started to think about nature-based solutions, which is a key factor in making their value chains more resilient. Now, having said that, this is also going to impact their workforces. It's also going to impact the manufacturing units and to be able to track to a green book of business. So that's probably the starting point, the most pressing issue about managing Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions. In my view, the interventions or the products or services required to do this, and I think, Nutan, you mentioned this quite upfront in your conversation, is the usage of emerging technologies. And these technologies could be, AI, blockchain, quantum computing, where really using the promise of technologies for effective data management across the value chain. And in this, I really think that startups have a big, big role to play. It is unfair to imagine that these innovations around traceability, around energy management, around circular economies, around waste management, on land or water resource usage and renovation, all of these innovations are definitely white spaces that startups can quickly come in and solution for us. And I also would be very happy to see that if these startups could offer a industry-wide solution where we can possibly look at solutions targeted at, let's say, of course, the ones with bad names are, of course, the mining companies and the oil and gas companies, but also for other industries. And these solutions are not limited to just the businesses who are deploying them in their value chains, but it's more of a industry-led platform solution. So yeah, I really think that usage of technologies like AI, blockchain, quantum, in order to solve for these problems that I just mentioned is where we should probably be starting.
Completely. Thank you so much. This was really very useful. I love what you touched upon, the nature-based solution. We can take almost 5 days to talk about nature-based solution, and yet I think we will not come to some consensus, but I really appreciate that. I'll just add one more point on that. I think the whole aspect of carbon offset is also a very, very emerging area that just comes to my mind when I heard you talk. And I think in that sense, like for example, RTIs is working with US DOE to create a first CO2 solvent which can treat 1 ton of CO2 at $42. We have to still come down to $30, but I'm just trying to say there is so many things to be done from a from a carbon sink perspective or a carbon offset perspective is just unbelievable.
And pricing also, because carbon pricing is completely all over the place. It's haywire. Every country has their own norms and regulation. If we were to standardize, how does offsetting work? And especially for where I come from, the MNC perspective, it is important to think about pricing as well. But yeah, really engaging. Thank you, Nutan, for providing me an opportunity to share my views.
Thank you so much. Anyone else who would like to go next?
I could go next, Nitin, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
The Srijit here from Wilbro. The first question, which problem that like to put a priority to address, I would like to seek your attention, all the panelists' attention to one of the issues that rural livelihoods face. And this is very much linked to climate action, but usually not addressed very often. Because when we look at using green technology for rural region, mostly we stick to powering some of their basic amenities like lights and fans, etc. And it usually stops there. But when we are able to bring green technology for supporting livelihoods, which generates income, that's when we'll be able to really showcase what's in it for the end users to adapt to climate action. Because then we are connecting the behavioral changes required for positive climate changes to livelihoods, to income generation. So that's one area where we could prioritize a lot of our works. So what are the interventions required to solve this problem? There are many stages of interventions that is required. The first is obviously identifying the needs. So when we say identifying the needs, there are lots of sectors when we talk about livelihoods. So artisans in the textile industry, there is a lot of farming-based livelihoods. Then under non-farming, again, there are various other livelihoods like pottery making, and then there is food processing. There is different kinds of machineries involved. So one of the intervention that we need to look at is for those livelihood activities which are not yet automated, we could do a detailed study on what activities currently which are not automated could be automated. So that is a research that might be required. And then next is in the livelihood activities, livelihood machineries that's already out there. What are the inefficiencies and what are the shortcomings, and what could be done better to make them efficient enough so that it can be powered through green technology economically viable manner, in an economically viable manner. So these are on the studies part on understanding the issues. Second is when boosting those enterprises which come up with solutions for this, they need to instantly get access to these kind of information where the issues are. And then third is when they are trying to implement these solutions out in the field, then there is a lot of other background support that they require, starting from financing to, so it could be enterprise financing, it could be end user financing, and then comes the challenges in marketing when they want to reach out to users in very remote region. So these are the interventions that is required for such solutions to be put forth. Now, third, what are the role of startups in addressing these problems? As I said, each of these stakeholders, whether it is financiers or the end users, or when we talk about livelihoods, they too have end users, those who purchase their end products. Each of these stakeholders have their own interests. So we need to be very clearly addressing what's in it for me question of each of these stakeholders, which is very difficult for a government or any other entity to put in a lot of time and effort and address. So it can be sustainably addressed only by business startups. So startups, if they look at each of these entities and try to answer this question of what's in it for me, for each of these stakeholders. For instance, if it is financing solution, if it is end user financing, if the challenge is, let's say, that of a collateral, because there is no history of payment, then we could look at something like even Green Innovation Fund to adapt to that situation and provide maybe FLDG support or also, which in turn becomes revolving in nature, and a lot of beneficiaries could be supported through that. Similarly, if the issue is instead about not able to if the issue is the financing entity cannot reach out to these rural areas and ensure collection, then technological solutions like pay as you go can be provided. So the issues need to be on a case-to-case identified, and customized solution will have to be provided. So only startups can then coordinate all these stakeholders and come up with a sustainable solution for a long term. So with that, I'll just stop for other panelists to come in and then take it forward later.
Thanks, Srijit. Anyone else? Kapil, would you like to give your view about what you feel, from an RTI perspective, your views would be?
Thank you, Nutan. So my perspective on this would be is the climate water nexus. I mean, there is already enough evidence out there that clearly addresses or clearly talks about how water is going to be one of the most impacted areas as a result of climate change. And we all understand that water has a direct impact on multiple sectors, be it domestic, be it agriculture, be it power, be it the commercial sector. So essentially, increasing water scarcity will eventually result in adverse impacts on food security, health, economic activity, and other areas as well. In terms of an intervention, what I would say is we need an integrated approach to water resource management, which essentially alludes to a more circular economy for water, where you need multiple interventions like source water protection, wastewater recycling and reuse, and so on. And all this cannot happen, at a centralized stage. It has to happen in a decentralized manner, where increasingly we see that more and more real estate developments have compliance issues with regarding to managing their water resources. So I believe that there is a lot of opportunity that exists there for startups to make a play. To give you an example, I think wastewater treatment, if you look at it, the predominant technology that exists is anaerobic and aerobic biological treatment. But there are a host of other solutions that can be explored, particularly packaged systems that can be considered for communities to manage their own wastewater and probably reuse it in a more effective manner. So that would be my point, Nutan.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add one more point to what Kapil said. US organizations are actually thinking that you have a toilet, right? But how do you really recycle the black water which get generated there itself, and it goes back into the sink, and how it could be done in a much more modular way, or much more, I would say, luxurious way for people to have it? Because when water is not going to be available, I think everyone will have to get resort themselves with such kind of initiative to make themselves much more sustainable. So just a food for thought. People's thought process are really becoming more wild and doing things. I'll stop here, but anyone else who wants to jump in and give their ideas, views?
I'll go next.
Yes, Samuel.
Hi. Yes. Thank you, Nutan. So I'm Samuel. I would like to just put in some perspective on some of the thoughts that were raised by the panelists earlier. From our side, when we look at it, what we are seeing is the scale of the climate change, the immediate impact, which are basically these large disasters and the weather impacts. Each of it costs a lot of money. and the question is, all the other, the type of work is needed, but the immediate intervention is that pretty much a lot of people cannot foot the bill, and who's going to foot the bill? And this is the kind of questions that everyone is asking, and that leads into a resilience quotient. So from our perspective, when we approached and when we were talking to the key stakeholders, the first question is who's going to pay for this? So this is a very large area as a problem that we have seen that exists in the market, and that should be something that must be really looked into. It's not that the mechanisms don't exist, the mechanisms do. It is just the question of how efficiently it needs to be done and what are the problem areas that needs to be prioritized. That is a very large problem that we are looking at. The other big thing is food systems themselves in terms of how fundamentally, because climate change ultimately is a behavioral change, right? So what we're looking at is how we fundamentally change our behavior over a period of, let's say, 1 or 2 generations to make sure that all these activities, all these initiatives that we are taking does bear results in about 20-30 years time, wherein the real effects kick in. So changing the way you move. So there's a lot of activity that we have seen in the electric vehicles. The logistics piece is almost looked at, but what we see missing, the problem which we see missing is how effectively we can contribute to the food systems, such as going down to your basic diet. So research has shown that if you fundamentally switch the diet from a meat protein based solution to, let's say, a plant protein based solution, you can literally see a lot of difference. But then that goes back to the gentleman who was just before we talked about is how efficiently now you use water, right? So this is the big problem that we see, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there in terms of how companies can bring in products and solutions. For example, disaster financing, it could be a catastrophe bond. That catastrophe bond can be structured in an international market. With the comment that was made by the panelist from Accenture, using blockchain or crypto technologies, the kind of new financial innovations that are coming up, companies can really address a very specific resilience problem, a very specific who's going to pay for it if everything goes south issue that could be there. And last but not least, startups, what can they do? I mean, they can do a lot. I mean, they are nimble, they are fast. It's not that they don't have access to technology. They are able to move products and solutions to both the governments and the private sector entities quite quickly. We have seen that happen, and surprisingly, a lot of these enterprises have now sprung up in India. And for us, from where I look at it, disaster finance and the food systems and the behavioral change, that could be 2 main areas where startups could potentially come in and make their contributions. Yeah, I would stop now, and then let the other panelists to provide some information as well.
Thanks, Samuel. Anyone else?
Yeah, Nutan, I would like to go next if that's not. Yeah. Very nice to hear all the panelists. On behalf of UNDP, I extend a very warm welcome to all the members at the round table. We are very happy to be a part of the Green Innovation Fund, the whole operationalization part. And I must say what a fantastic journey it has been, where we have seen startups, getting funded, and they have also piloted a lot of solutions and which are being upscaled also at the moment. So we are very happy to be a part of this initiative. And we also appreciate the efforts of the government of Kerala, and especially the Startup Mission and the Huddle Kerala Mission, who have supported this. Nutan, to your question on which problem concerning climate change would you consider as a priority? I mean, there are several. If to name a few, we can say, okay, land degradation is one of the most important, the national priority for the government of India to address, where they have made a commitment of restoring 26 million hectares of land at the recent COP. Unsustainable natural resource management, climate change, of course, there are so many things where there are so many, and the recent COP at the Glasgow has highlighted, that there are certain commitments that the government needs to fulfill at the global level. So it's not just one issue. There are so many issues which are interlinked. We have been supporting the government of India in climate change adaptation and mitigation at all levels, national, regional, state, and of course the local level. And we feel that there is a need for a deep and sustained decarbonization of the economy at all levels, be it food production, consumption, transportation, construction, manufacturing, retail. And to do this, we need to finance initiatives that offer innovative solutions in all such sectors and also transform the way stakeholders engage with nature. We also feel that innovation is the need of the hour, which was again highlighted at the recent COP of the Glasgow. To this effect, we also launched the Accelerator Lab initiative, where in 78 countries we are serving the national governments to find radical solutions for today's development challenges in the most innovative manner. And we feel that the startup ecosystem can play a significant role in finding these solutions to climate change. This was also emphasized very clearly in the budget session of 2022-23, where the Honorable Finance Minister announced incentives for the startups that have emerged as drivers of growth for the Indian economy. And while innovation in agriculture, waste management, circular economy, natural resource management are gradually beginning to gain traction, and of course the Kisan Drone Yatra, which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister recently, yesterday, that has brought drones and climate smart agriculture into focus like never before. But there is a need to integrate climate startups as a part of the startup ecosystems. If we are to transform the climate startup ecosystem from a niche segment to a mainstay of venture capital and impact investment, we need to build a distinct identity for the whole ecosystem through initiatives such as Social Impact Accelerator Program. And also, of course, being climate smart without being inclusive would be a shallow win. So there should be concrete efforts should be there to encourage women entrepreneurs also to come forward with their ideas and innovations. Let me be very clear, the government here do not have, they have a lot of resources, and what they're looking forward to are a range of models, innovative models that they could pick up and they could upscale in different areas. The government is looking forward to startups, to UN organizations, to a number of multilaterals and bilaterals, not just for the sake of support, but what they are looking forward to is innovation, technology. They're looking forward to something that they could pick up from us, and then they could use their resources through their programs and action plans and upscale, in different areas to achieve their national priorities and their global commitments. And that is very clear in all their addresses at the recent international conferences. So we feel that government and institutions should collaborate, expand their networks through cross-learning for a more wider and holistic support to climate startups through investments and knowledge sharing, of course. And there is a need to build a coherent narrative around the role that climate startups can play in climate action. So with this, I hope that this roundtable will help in strengthening the work that Kerala Startup Mission is doing, an excellent work. I must congratulate each and every one who's involved in this whole journey. And I hope that we can develop this social impact accelerator program very soon, which will address climate change issues and would help in climate adaptation and mitigation with inclusive growth. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was very helpful. Anyone else who is, since I'm not able to see all the participants.
So Nutan, we have heard from 7 folks so far, including me.
Okay, and how many are there?
There should be more participants. I see 26 on the list.
Okay. I do not want to pick anyone in particular, but do we have some time, right, Kapil?
Yes, we do. We have another almost 20 minutes.
I wanted to check with Dhanej. It is 4 o'clock closing or 4:15 closing?
4:15.
4:15.
Okay, fine. So I see, in a sense, I do not want to pick people up, but in case if I'm asked to do it, I am sorry, but I need to pick up people then. Arjun, would you like to go next?
He has spoken, Nutan.
Oh, he has spoken. Sorry, I'm just going to just looking at the names. Rajit is there. Kapil, can you let me know who are the people who still need to speak?
I think I don't see anybody who hasn't spoken.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've also felt. But
yeah, I think everybody has spoken of them.
Okay. So if
anybody wants to share any other ideas, then maybe we can welcome not just the one idea. If somebody else wants to talk about any other interesting idea, we can welcome those as well.
I just want, this is not really a solution. So pardon me if I'm not coming across as very clear, but I think one of the problems to then address is we heard, I think Anusha speak about government priorities and the fact that they are looking for the right innovations. I brought in the perspective from the business. There were participants that also spoke about how the startup ecosystem is sort of challenged. I think Will Grove's perspective around that. What I'm lacking in this whole scheme of things is the perspective of climate change being a human problem, and also all of these stakeholders coming together to solve this problem. My submission is that all of the stakeholders have bright ideas, some have resources, some have innovations, but they're not really speaking to each other, and there are no systems in place for them to collaborate freely and to exchange solutions in the most open source manner that should be, because it is climate change. So I would say that the biggest problem is this lack of transparency and collaboration, which possibly, if enabled, it can be applied to all of the other white spaces that we've spoken about today. But I don't see that construct, not in India, maybe a little bit globally, but COP is too big. So yeah.
Completely agree with you on that, and I think those challenges are not only India based, but they are global challenges, difficult for us to maneuver on them. But coming back to, I have a question, if anyone wants to answer. What are some of the 3 things that you would like the Kerala Startup Mission, while they embark on this journey on creating this entire cohort of startups focusing on climate change? What are some of the 3 suggestions, advices, guidance that you feel would be important for them to take? Anyone wants to speak?
Nutan, just building on to what Tinkney said, that there is a need to collaborate, because we have been implementing so many projects and programs now with the government. What we feel is that sometimes we do the same things and we're not able to get the impact. Now, through this project, when we collaborated with the Kerala Startup Mission under this Kerala project, and some of the panelists might not know, but this is a part of a biodiversity conservation project, which was launched in Kerala to restore the Shola grasslands and also to work with the communities. And that's when, just recently, like 2-3 years back, we had a word with the Startup Mission, and we started figuring out what sort of innovations we can support. And that's how we built this platform where UNDP came in, government came in, and then we interacted with the startup. Now, this is one platform, but everybody do not know about it. Probably they won't have any idea. Now, UNDP is actually taking it forward to the government of Kerala, through the government of Kerala at the national level. So of course, the Ministry of Environment will come to know about it. They are coming across several innovations that they might be looking forward to. Now, these innovations can now be replicated in other states as well, because we can see the impact. We can definitely see the impact of just one, say, nature-based solution with some technology. And so when we see the impact, these can be replicated. But otherwise, we do not connect with the private sector sometimes with these startups. And now is the need when we are working with the government, and we have been working with the government for decades now. It's not that we've started now, but now there is a need to work with the private sector. And not just to ask for resources, financial resources. We want to ask for some technical resources, because I know this is the gap that we need to fill. Now, how do we fill that is the question. We need to have some platforms like this, and at a bigger scale. And I hope that this is just the beginning. And I hope that through bigger programs and by communicating this need to the government, we can definitely do this.
Yeah, I think very well said, Anusha. I think I really love the thought process that you have. I think the private sector engagement is critical, because I think there is a lot of economic interest for them also to invest into it. I just wanted to say over here, we did we work on blended finance on the water sanitation and some of the climate areas, and we did this whole study to find out why are the CSR funds of the Indian corporates not able to do blended finance instruments. And to my surprise, I think there were so many critical challenges that the corporate, the CSR rules had with respect to them adhering to those rules, which was really making it difficult for the industries to what you said, do some catalytic investments. And I would say, but yet, while the challenges were there, I could really find some of the marquee industries, whether it was SBI Capital or whether it was Edel Give, and very definitely some of the 3, 4, 5 marquee corporates who have really found a way, because they believe that just giving grants and the projects are not sustainable is not the way to solve the problem. But how do you really do a returnable grant or a soft loan or a equity at a longer duration, or you do a credit guarantee program that is going to support those kind of intervention. So I agree with you, Anusha. I think there's a need to bring the private sector, the government, the donors like yourself, multilateral agencies together to find solutions to these problems. And I think we'll be there soon. But like what we say is community of practice, coming from different set of perspectives, views, and brainstorming about these ideas. I think we all have great brains. We have all the good intentions, and I like what Kinkini said about it, is that what we don't have is just the thought of collaboration and an ecosystem to collaborate in that sense.
Yeah, and to what Nutan, you and Kinkini said, and from UNDP's side, I would like to offer that we can definitely provide a platform or a community of practice, because
I'm calling you right after this.
Yeah, no, because we have a lot of programs. We have a biodiversity finance program. We're coming up with the climate finance initiative. So definitely engaging with the private sector is something that we really look forward to. And we will build a community of practice. And I think this discussion has clearly highlighted that. So yes, Kinkini, I'll just wait for your call and we'll come up with this. So yeah.
Absolutely. And nothing more from my end. I am just cognizant of the time, and then I can hand it over the discussion to Kapil to quickly summarize, and then back to Dhanej in terms of talking about the next step. So over to you, Kapil, and then to Dhanej.
Sure. Thank you, Nutan. I think what I will try and do is capture the key aspects that we have discussed over the last 30 minutes or so. We kicked off the discussion with Mr. Matthew, and I think he very well brought out the point of the challenge that we have in terms of mindset. There needs to be a lot of accountability as well as people coming together to solve the climate change problem. And I think, as he rightly pointed out, there are a lot of private sector companies out there who need support in terms of achieving the net zero target. In terms of areas that the startups can work, he did allude to identifying accountability, ensuring accountability and building awareness on climate change as some of the areas that startups could focus on. The next speaker, Mr. Verma, he spoke about the challenge of lack of real-time data to support decision making. And when I say real-time data, he was referring to the data with regard to environmental parameters, which air, water, soil, and so on. And I really like this idea of hyperlocal systems that could be created that would facilitate real-time decision making. And that is clearly a white space that startups could look at working in. In specific area that he called out is water, because water quality monitoring is increasingly becoming an area of concern with rising water scarcity, and I completely align with his point of view. Moving on, the next we had Kinkini speaking from Accenture, and she spoke about the challenge with regard to Scope 3 emissions, as well as the deployment of nature-based solutions to make value chains more resilient. It was very insightful to hear from her about the research that was undertaken with 1,200 CEOs, where some of the aspects like volatile nature of climate, the resource availability, as well as supply chain resilience coming out as key challenge areas that CEOs are struggling with. And I think the last, towards the end of the discussion, she also pointed about the lack of collaboration or a knowledge sharing ecosystem that is not available, so that probably startups can work with each other, talk to each other, learn from each other, so that their learning curves are better and probably serve those markets in a much better fashion. In terms of intervention, the technology intervention with regard to artificial intelligence, blockchain, or quantum computing for data management was highlighted by her as a white space where startups could work. There definitely seems to be a need in terms of real-time data when it comes to traceability, or when it comes to resource management, or especially supporting those carbon-intensive industries like oil and gas, or probably the riskier ones like mining, in terms of managing their compliance better, and so on. One other aspect which came up across the discussion was carbon offsetting as well as pricing of carbon, both of which are going to be extremely critical for the private sector to see that they achieve their net zero targets. That was another point which was definitely highlighted during that discussion. Moving on, we had Mr. Srijit from Climate Action, and he spoke about his focus area was definitely going to be rural livelihood. And when he spoke about rural livelihood, his emphasis was more on livelihood security as well as income generation for the folks there. In terms of intervention, he spoke about working with different sectors, which includes, there could be pottery, agri, there is a textile, and so on. And I understand from him that each of these sectors is unique. Their challenges may be unique, and therefore we have to take a sector-specific approach, work with those stakeholders to understand what are their challenges, and then come up with appropriate solutions that can help them alleviate those challenges, all in the gamut of ensuring that we can build more resilient communities. More resilient communities will be much better equipped to handle any climate change challenge that is also thrown at them. Some of the other aspects that he also spoke about was the access to information, access to finance, and also access in terms of reaching these folks, and also marketing support that might be required as these solutions take shape. I really aligned with his view, and the question that he asked is, every startup who decides to work in this sector needs to identify a sector and really answer the question, what's in it for me, from each stakeholder who's part of that ecosystem. Only then, when it is an ecosystem level intervention, that's when things will see the light of day, and we will have sustainable business models that can be then scaled up. For example, I think the example he gave was securing finance for people living in these communities may be a challenge because their credit history may not support that. Or in terms of payment collections, where technology interventions could be brought in so that people could, the banks could recover their funds in a timely fashion. Moving on, next we had Mr. John from Mistio, and he spoke about the challenge as who's going to pay for all these interventions. And I think he was alluding to the fact of innovative financing models and structures, which is the need of the hour to ensure that the right kind of interventions can be created. And he highlighted two particular sectors that he would like to focus on. One is in terms of disaster resilience, and the other in terms of food system interventions. He strongly believes that there is a strong role that the startups can play over here. And I think, like the earlier speaker, he was also alluding to the fact that it has to be a sector-specific approach. It cannot be a generalized approach. The person or the intervention has to be probably brought up, ground up, so that it is relevant and it actually works. Moving on, next we had Anusha Sharma from UNDP speaking, and she clearly highlighted the whole depth and width of the climate change challenge that we are really trying to solve. And we heard from her how UNDP is working very closely with the government of India to address both mitigation as well as adaptation challenges across all levels of the ecosystem. So be it the national level, at the state level, or at the ULBs and so on. The priority, as she identified, is clearly decarbonization of the economy. And though it is summarized in 4 phrases, but I guess the depth of that is pretty massive. It is multi-sectoral. It has far-reaching impacts on our entire ecosystem that would be impacted when we decarbonize the economy, and we all need to be geared up for that. One other aspect she pointed out was gender and inclusiveness. This is an extremely critical component, and everybody recognizes that when we talk about climate change adaptation, there has to be a clear lens of gender and inclusiveness that has to be considered, and she strongly recommended encouraging women entrepreneurs as part of this entire exercise. Towards the end, Nutan posed the question about what actions could KSUM undertake, and I believe the 2 call-out points that came out is, one, how can KSUM support replicating these models across other parts of the country so that this ecosystem becomes far larger? And the second is, how can private sector engagement be enhanced, not from the point of tapping into financial resources, but tapping into technical resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology, and so on. I think that kind of in brief summarizes the discussions that we have had. Nutan, would you like to add something to that?
No, I think I'm good, Kapil. I think I'll request Danej to now do the talking about the next steps.
Yes, thanks, Nutan, and thanks everyone. It was a pretty engaging discussion, though we were restricted by time. So 1 hour is actually pretty short to have even start about talking about climate change or climate action in general. But this is the way we envision this roundtable to be a starting point, where we have an understanding of what kind of consultation we should have with more focused with more focus groups, more thematically focused experts and all. So in that sense, in a very broad level, we have there's some consensus of what kind of action items and what kind of activities we should pursue from startup mission perspective. Before that, we have Prajit here, who looks at the partnerships and all. Prajit, do you want to quickly respond to the kind of partnership probably we startup mission is having in the sustainability domain? Prajit, and I guess Varun is also here. Any one of you want to kind of quickly chip in? Okay, no worries. So, I mean, in Startup Mission 2, we are running, Anusha was speaking about the collaborations. We in fact that was one area which we are kind of looking at, collaboration and convergence. So mostly all the programs within the government also, we are trying to converge all the program and have a impact, a perspective on sustainability and impact also as well. So one vertical startup mission was also kind of focusing on, or kind of we are double tapping into, is the sustainability tech and social entrepreneurship. So we, other than this particular GIF program, which was one of the first program which we kind of gave it a shape and kind of rolled it out, we then also collaborated with UNDP and AIM to roll out this program called Youth Collab, which is again looking at climate action, especially from a youth perspective. And we have been working with GIZ as well on this. So we were supposed to have Mr. J, the senior climate advisor of GIZ here, but unfortunately he was not able to join. So with GIZ, we are looking at the social entrepreneurship and how you can scout business ideas for development perspectives. So I mean, the startups, I mean, even the customers are becoming kind of conscious about what kind of what's the niche of ideas startups are coming out with. For example, they are becoming conscious of one example when we are having this discussion with GIC and the kind of ideas they are scouting. So one was about, they are looking at deliveries which are more plastic conscious, like which are more environment conscious. So if one agency is kind of giving products which is remove, instead of plastic, they are using more environment friendly cutleries or environment friendly packaging, the customers are kind of making a conscious choice to kind of choose them because of that particular nature as well. And if there is one startup who is more conscious about inclusiveness and kind of having more women delivery agents and kind of conscious about gender equality, and the livelihood aspect of it, those kind of narratives are actually kind of getting traction, and because of that, that kind of narrative itself is kind of making them a differentiation factor. So there is also a business viability and kind of more business visibility part of it when we are looking at the impact. There is also revenue, and there is also kind of contribution back to society. At Startup Mission, there are a few programs which we have in Anvil. There is something which called the Impact 50 Startup. We want to kind of identify 50 impact startups, so startups working in the impact space over a year time, and kind of give them a more curated hand-holding and curated linkages and all. So that is one program which we have in Anvil. And with corporate, we do run corporate accelerator and corporate innovation program. So we are looking more of such corporates who want to kind of collaborate with us on impact vertical and impact domain. That's something which we want to kind of focus on, and more specifically going down on the micro themes. So energy is one vertical we are in Kerala perspective also we are more conscious about. We are having this energy consortium which is looking more specifically on the kind of new battery technologies and more EV vehicle kind of thing. So that's one vertical which we are double tapping into. And there is this water and tourism. Sustainable tourism is another vertical probably which we can explore, and even we have this responsible tourism and responsible tourism council, which we want to kind of look at the problem statement to make tourism sustainable. And in fact, in the one of the startup who is pitching after this will be talking about the sustainability vertical. And these are some of the areas which we immediately want to kind of look into and understand the problem statements and float it out to startups to kind of explore and have more ideas on. And we are also looking at the donor agencies to kind of collaborate with donor agencies, the startups, and we probably Startup Mission will have some of our own fund to kind of give them as a grant. And the grant won't be it's a free of kind of grant. It's more of developing an MVP with an immersive a typical use case associated to it. So those things are there. Broad level discussions and broad level understanding is happening. And before going forward, we definitely want to have more such consultative exercises, more such collaborative discussions and brainstorming. Yeah, that's all from my side. And thanks Kapil and thanks Nutan for having this roundtable kind of structured well, and having this making this such making this engaging as like this. Thank you. And Tony and Kasturi to kind of take lead, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dhanaj. Now we'll be playing a video first, and then we'll be moving forward. The next event.
Once again, yeah. Nutan, Kapil, is there anything I missed out you want to kind of have and come in and kind of say as a concluding word?
No, I don't think anything from my end. I think it was concluded well by Kapil as well as by you, Dhanaj. So with that, thank you to everyone who has attended, and thank you to UNDP and the Kerala Startup Mission for having us over here. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot. Yeah. Kasturi, over to you.
All right. So we'll be playing a video right now. And after that, we'll be moving to the next event. And that will be the startup pitching, one of the most exciting things that we're looking for. So please stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Tony Jose, working as a project officer in UNDP. UNDP, in partnership with Hyderabad Mission, Kerala Startup Mission, to launch Green Innovation Fund to support social entrepreneurs who are working in addressing social issues through innovative technologies in Muna landscape, which is a part of Western Ghats, a global biodiversity hotspot.
Innovation is at the heart of everything that Startup Mission does. Be it working with corporates, be it working with government institutions, we always try to innovate and create disruption. For businesses to stay relevant, innovation is important. New technology firms come and try to disrupt these businesses by improving the technology or doing things differently. But innovation is not limited to urban areas or cities or businesses. By partnering with UNDP and Hyderabad Mission, Startup Mission is happy to run this mountain landscape innovation project in the beautiful Western Ghats here in Kerala and look at projects that can improve ecological sustainability, provide livelihood in these high range areas. And we have got a lot of interesting ideas that we've looked at, identified a few of the very good ones. And we are very sure in the coming few months, we will see a lot of these startups do their pilots and come up with interesting use cases and projects that will scale and become big businesses.
Under the project, various initiatives has been undertaken in the areas of waste management, livelihood, tourism, eco-restoration, capacity building, and mainstreaming biodiversity conservation into production sectors. Under the project, we have been looking at building a partnership with various stakeholders, trying to bring innovations to the project, and looking at technology solutions to address the challenges in the landscape.
Green Innovation Fund is the latest addition to the array of acceleration programs we have under Kerala Startup Mission banner. Nevertheless, GIF is special in many ways. One, it is probably the first program exclusively for social entrepreneurs in Kerala. Two, it is funded by UNDP to support startups working in the Sustainable Development Goals. And the Hyderabad Mission is a key knowledge partner to the program who brings in a lot of grounding to the program. GIF would support startups to kind of develop a pilot, and we envision GIF to be a feeder program where pilot would be taken up by large impact accelerator to help them scale from say 1 to 100.
Absolutely brilliant. Very inspiring, isn't it? Amazing. So now we're going to go for our next session, and that is the startup pitching. And we will be providing each startup with 5 minutes. We request you to stop within the 5 minutes time. So let me call upon the first startup, that is Creativity Council. Creativity Council with their innovations of helping people through modern technology. Creativity Council, up to you.
We have given speaking right to Mr. James, the founder of Creativity Council, requesting Mr. James to kind of unmute yourself and speak. We are running out of time. Kasturi, I guess he is facing some technical issue. Could you call out the next charter so that by then he can correct it and kind of come back?
Sure. That can be done. Right. So next we have here the Fuselage and Fuselage Innovations specialize in the manufacture of customized UAVs and drones, providing agricultural aerial plant survey and aerial plant spraying. Fuselage, over to you.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Devan Chandrasekharan, Managing Director of Agritech Startup Fuselage Innovations, and we are working with the agricultural sector. And let me start with the problems we are addressing here. And the problems with the crops, that it is abiotic and biotic stress in between plant, and we came to see that 2017 and 18 the Kerala agriculture sector facing problems with the flood and post-natural calamities issues happened in the agriculture sector, and we came to know how the plant treatment based on the leaf characteristics will work. So we Fuselage Innovations proposing the process in between two products, that from the spectral UAV to the plant protection UAV. And let me explain the process in detail. That is, we capturing the plant data through the spectral sensors, that it is ranging from the near infrared to the RGB sensors, and based on the analyze and multiple of processing, and we came to know the what exactly the plant deficiencies, and we integrating to the farm management software and where exactly the crop damage and deficiency is concentrated, and we sharing this detail with the stakeholders as a multiple of tools like PDF and also software representation also sharing with the stakeholders. And finally the prescription through the as an aerial spraying we providing in a spot and controlled application. So here it is a reference with respect to our project happened in paddy as well as in tea, and we representing the stakeholders as a the plant growth conditions, and based on that we providing the prescription manuals. And during the journey we can create an impact that is around 70% of reduction of agricultural input we could create, and as of now 30% of yield increase we can create in between food and cash crops. And during last couple of pilot projects we could interact with the 220 farmers, and we can create a 3 million INR profit in between them. And our uniqueness that it is in early detection, and also the proposed process of act on data as a prescription kind of thing in between food and cash crops, and better prediction so farmers they can predetermine their farming activities. Currently our proposed process is provisionally patent, and we came to see the market opportunity that is with the Harrison Malayalam Limited, and one of the largest FPO Sayadri Farms and Sithite Industries, and total around 15 million US dollar. And our business model, that is value proposition into three aspects, that is the prescription and also prediction report as a service model, and also sales model we are ultimately focusing on. And the revenue channel is to plan mapping, aerial spraying, and aerial spot spraying as a service model. We came to see when considering as a flat rate for as a revenue. It's around we expecting 58 lakh for this year. And when comparing the other players in the market, we came to see there are no other players in market who doing the prescription as a based on data, so which allow us to edge ahead. And during the journey, we got number of recognitions, and we have been announced as for Innovation Challenge winner, and we got support including UNDP for grant for the prototype development. And we ultimately concentrating on the development of expansion of our business pan-India level. And here it is our entire team, and we during the journey we got a number of mentors from the corresponding ecosystem. So we Fuselage Innovations addresses the current agriculture ecosystem challenges, so that we good going with the tech-backed good agriculture practices to grow more and develop in between the farming sector. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fuselage. That was amazing to listen to you, and then what a insightful way actually to move forward. Amazing. And is Creativity Council available as of now?
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing, sir. It's your stage, sir.
Kasturi, I'm afraid he again dropped off.
Yeah, I'm here. I think they changed as a panelist to attendee. Is I'm now audible?
Yeah,
yes,
now
sir.
it's perfectly fine.
Shall I? Sorry for the.
No issues, please.
Just a minute. Let me share the screen. Share my screen. Sorry. Are you able to see my PPT?
Yes, it's coming. Yes, it's visible now.
Sorry for the delay. Myself, James, I'm founder of Creativity Council. It's a Section 8 non-profit to social enterprises founded by a group of professionals in innovation and management. Our team consists of myself, my experience in rural innovation for more than 20 years. One of my founder is Bobby Isaac. He is a professional in business development. He's a founder of Lacon Organic Certification, is a well-known organic certification company. And Arun is a product development manager, and Mr. Bevin is a marketing professional. Actually, we work in 3 areas. One is developing affordable technologies for the neglected area. One area is pain and palliative care. Another area is promotion of grassroots innovations, converting or commercialization of grassroots innovation. And third one is training program based on the insights we generated in the process and the program. And here in the problem which we are addressing is cassava. Cassava is one of the major crops in Kerala, especially in high ranges or hilly areas of Kerala. And this harvesting of cassava is one of the tedious and lot of drudgery involved in the harvesting of cassava. Back pain is common among the farmers who used to harvest cassava. And also it causes soil erosion. Loosening up topsoil by harvesting cassava in high ranges is common. It causes soil erosion in high ranges. And the acute labor shortage is the other problem in cassava cultivation. So our innovation is a very simple manual tool is a manual plucking tool for cassava harvesting. It is affordable, it's low cost. It can harvest the cassava without leaning forward. No tilling of loosening the earth for plucking. There's another advantage. So there is no preventing the soil erosion. Zero damage for cassava tuber. Can uproot minimum 2 cassava roots and 2 rooted bushes. There are 2 models. One is cassava plucker and other is a weed plucker. And women can also easily use it. The GIF project, what we are intended is commercialization of this innovation. There are 2 broad areas in the GIF project. One is field testing and market testing, and another is design modification based on the user feedback. And the major, if you say some of the major impacts of this cassava plucker or the GIF project is one, we have been able to establish network with local NGOs, FPOs and farmers groups for the testing and business. Many thanks for UNDP and Kerala Startup Mission for facilitating the partnership with the local NGOs, FPOs and farmers groups in remote areas of Kerala. Otherwise, we are not able to reach this very remote areas of Idukki, Wayanad and other high ranges. We introduced the products among the farmers, the nursery owners, medicinal plant cultivators, and collected feedback for the refinement improvement through this network. And based on their inputs and based on their feedback, we have designed a modification. We have made a design modification, and we had made a fabricated the prototype and field tested the prototype. And in the span of last 6 months, we have been able to sell around 100 units through this established networks and social media campaign with the support of the project. And some of the feedback which we have received from the field is two major feedback. One is the bending of the arc, and this breakage of this jaw. These are 2 major problems, but we have got the feedback. Another is cost factor, and another is a weight factor. Based on that, we have been able to design a new model, new plucker, and this has been tested and in the field. You can see that modification which you have made with the support of GIF projects. And these are the field glimpses from the field. You can see the women are easily using this modified harvester plucker. And the future plan is we need to optimize the design. We need to modify the design a little bit. The weight has to be optimized. And the marketing of the product, the business model which we have developed with the partnerships of local NGOs and FPOs and farmers groups. We want to replicate this business model in Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and we are trying to engage with the microfinance group. So the farmers will get loan to buy this product. And also we are planning to give a rental model also for a farmers group will give the product for a rental, but these 2 are in the operation. And also we are networking with international agencies for introducing the product in Africa and South Asian countries. And one of the key learning in the GIF project that we have been able to strategize and develop the marketing channel for reaching the deserving grassroots benefits from the remote village of partnership with the local NGOs and FPO. This is a model we have been able to develop in GIF program. And final slide is regarding the impact to the society. This technology directly contribute to biodiversity conservation with no tillage of still losing the earth for plucking. And also this is a simple one, and it's promote the family farming. And also this promote the local innovation capacity. It's a local innovation done by a farmer. This we actually develop and promote this innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fuselage. Now, the next startup who will be coming for the pitching will be Farm365. Farm365 Innovations, a social impact deep tech startup building sustainable AIoT solutions targeted at revolutionizing and transforming the agriculture sector, complex societal and environmental challenges. Farm365, all over to you.
Yep. Hi. Am I audible, Kasturi?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, great. Just give me a moment. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, hi. Very good evening, all. My name is Deepu Varghese. I'm the founder and CEO of Farm365 Innovations. We are a social impact startup, and we are building custom tailored security for farms and forests. So this is our amazing team, and we are on a mission to safeguard our planet Earth and the natural ecosystems from extinction. Jason was a design engineer. She focused on our wireless communication side and hardware and design documentation, where Google is our chief product officer. Has 5 years experience in nanorobotics and advanced embedded systems. He works with defense and space sector. And he's a co-founder, and he focuses on assembly field deployments and testing. Myself, Deepu, I'm a CSSP network engineer. I turned out a farmer. This is my second startup. All of us and 5 years experience in tech industry with Microsoft, McAfee, and Unilever, where I take care of IoT security. So here's the deal. We empower farmers with climate smart agriculture solutions, like a robotic scarecrow for crop protection, as well as we have 7 different data products that provide real-time farm data for the farmers. And for sustainable food production, we need to protect our natural ecosystems as well. So we protect our forests from wildfires, deforestation, as well as illegal wildlife trade. And as a startup today, we are addressing a 10,000-year-old problem that our agricultural lands close to protected areas often face crop raids by wildlife, which is becoming a serious problem for farmers whose livelihoods completely depend on agriculture produce their daily bread. So this is not just a problem in Kerala with wild boars and elephants in India, but from baboons in Namibia attacking young cattle to rhinos in Nepal destroying crops to orangutans in oil palm plantations and European bears and wolves killing the livestock. The problem is universal and it affects both rich and poor and is bad news for all concerned. And often the impacts are huge. People lost their crops, livestock, property, and sometimes their lives. And the animals, many of which are already threatened or endangered, are often killed in retaliation or to prevent future conflict. So right now, farmers use high tension solar fences or manual guarding in the night or traps, but these solutions have done more harm than the good, and which leading to the loss of both farmers and animals. This is where we come up with our solution, which is Farm Sentinel. It's an IoT robotic scarecrow, where we are combining artificial intelligence and IoT together to achieve more efficient IoT operations and improve human-machine interactions and enhance data management and analytics. So our systems use deep learning-based computer vision to recognize and repel wild animals using acoustic, visual, and olfactory repelling methods. So when it comes to the competitive advantages, we use adaptive AI as the radar system, and we have a very strong, unique IP with quick iterations. And when compared to the competitors, we were able to achieve long range and 360-degree coverage. It's a weatherproof device. The device will be able to work during rainy seasons or fog or any temperate conditions. When it comes to the value proposition, with the recent pilot, we see that there is a 60% increase in crop protection, as well as return of investment in 3 to 4 crop seasons or 2 years. So this is how we are sustainably increasing farmers' income and agriculture productivity. And also, there is no need for fencing or manual guarding in the night. And when it comes to cost of implementation, we are drastically reducing the cost from 100% to 25%, and 100% safety, and there is no power loss like associated with solar fence or electric fences. And this is we are at a very early stage. We have started our we done 3 successful pilots at the moment, and currently there is an ongoing pilot in the Mona Grama Panchayat with the help of local administration, UNDP, and Kerala Startup Mission. Right now, I have 25 plus pre-orders, and we have filed our IP, and we currently incubated with Kerala Agriculture University. And being a social impact startup, this is the impact that we really make apart from the increasing agriculture productivity and incomes. But in year 3, when we deploy 5,000 devices over a 1.5 million hectare area, we will be able to monitor. And once we monitor that much area up to from wildfires or from illegal deforestation, we will be able to save up to 75 million tons of CO2. That's the carbon sequestration, and which is equal to 15 million cars off the street. And also, based on this plan and applying our prevent wildfires, we will be saving 55 million animals, 80% of biodiversity of the land, and also 7.5 billion protected economic loss, and as well as there is a 15,000 respiratory cases we can be prevented.
Farm365, your time is up.
Yeah, that's it. So that's Farm365, and for pilot pre-orders and enquiries, please email us at vcare@farm365.ai. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Farm365. Now, the next one in the startup pitching is Leopard Tech Labs, who with their cutting edge technologies in software are empowering individuals and organizations. Leopard Tech Labs, over to you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Anthony Sebastian from Leopard Tech Labs. Our company Leopard Tech Labs excels in enabling highly advanced technologies combined with exceptional qualities to clients and users. Today, I am presenting our integrated conflict management system to effectively manage human-wildlife conflicts in a systematic and effective manner. This is our team: Mr. Sobi Matthew, co-founder and chief technical officer; Mr. Alan Shaji, co-founder and chief operating officer; myself, Anthony Sebastian, senior backend developer. Coming to the problem, human-wildlife conflicts. Even though there is a significant conscience to preserve and protect wildlife, there is still many human and wildlife casualties every year. This is a census data of Kerala Forest Department for the period of 2010 to 20. There were 173 human casualties, 64 elephant deaths, 13 leopard deaths, 114 wild pig deaths, 15 bear deaths, etc. This does not include other problems like a damage of crops.
Anthony, sorry to intervene. If there is a PPT, it's not shared.
Sorry. Okay, is the screen visible?
It's visible now.
Okay. This is our team. Mr. Sobi Matthew, co-founder and chief technical officer, and this is Alan Shaji and myself, Anthony Sebastian. Coming to the problem of human-wildlife conflicts, even though there is a significant conscience on human-wildlife wildlife preservation, there is still many human and wildlife casualties. So this is a census data of Kerala Forest Department for the period of 2010 to 20. There were 173 human casualties, 64 elephant deaths, 13 leopard deaths, 114 wild pig deaths, 15 bear deaths, etc. There is still other problem of damage of crops, land, buildings, and also social impact on human habitats nearby the forest area. As of now, there is no effective early detection and real-time alerting system to tackle this problem. Also, a lack of systematic data prevents a proper scientific analysis into this issue. So what we propose is an integrated human-wildlife conflict management system that consists of 4 main modules, mainly an early warning system, staff assistance system, reporting and analysis system, and camera traps. Early warning system provides the people with real-time alerts whenever there is a wildlife activity nearby them. Staff assistance system similarly gives the officials immediate records on wildlife activity in their jurisdiction. Reporting and analysis system provides the public an opportunity to immediately report whenever there is a wildlife activity in their area. Camera traps also can report human and wildlife movements in sensitive areas. This is how our system works. Using the Wild Watch app, users can directly report wildlife activity whenever they encounter it. The forest control room will immediately receive the report along with the GPS location of the report, and they can choose to alert the general public near that area about this particular report. And also, forest control room will send an official to the area to resolve the conflict. Once the conflict is resolved, the case is marked as resolved and the data is permanently recorded in the database. Speaking of the camera traps, there are already many camera traps available. However, these camera traps work offline. That is, these camera traps take pictures and stores it internally in the device itself. So the problem is that these camera traps cannot act as an early warning or real-time reporting system. So what we propose is a smart camera trap that is capable of real-time communication. That is, Once these smart camera trap take pictures, it will be immediately directly sent to the headquarters. This is a visualization of how the smart camera trap systems will work. Whenever there is a wildlife activity, a photo is taken using the nearby internet point, the data will be sent to the headquarters. Also, there are many cases wherein the camera traps themselves may not be in range of an internet point. In such scenarios, the nearby camera trap modules will act as an ad hoc network through which the data will be sent until it reaches an internet point or directly to the headquarters. Speaking of the impact, immediate response from officials to handle the conflict will significantly reduce the human and wildlife casualties. Also, the data collected can be used for predictive modeling. Once the local communities have direct alerts whenever there is wildlife activity, they can take precautionary measures. Once there is significant amount of data, systematic data, we can use data analysis to identify the root causes. Speaking of our path ahead, we are awaiting screen tests from Mona. We are also in active discussions with the WTA. We are awaiting response from Mareo division. Also, as per our previous discussions with the Mona division, we are incorporating the already existing early warning system with our system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Levertech Labs. Now, next we have Iralum. Interact with Iralum, who are trying their best to fulfill our happiness with their quality, handcrafted, creative products. Iralum, are you ready?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good evening, all. Good evening, all. So let me introduce my startup, Iralu. We are the marketplace for creative manufacturing handmade products. We are dealing with the handloom, handmade and handcrafted product sector. So the problem we are solving is there are a lot of problems with the handmade or handicrafted sector. People are challenged with inventory backlogs, cancelled orders, supply chain disruption, and lack of investment, also the marketing penetration and other financial issues. So we found a solution that there's a marketplace can solve some of the issues, like we are promoting these kind of products and we are connected with all kind of vendors, artisans, handloom and handcrafted vendors and other artisan communities. So we bring all to our platform and we promoting them to the consumers. So this is how it's like. Iralum is actually community-based business model. We are connected with the all kind of artisans across Kerala and all the women communities, societies, NGOs, and other institutions, and also the handlooms in Kerala. So bringing this, actually, we are doing is collecting the raw materials or products to our platform and promoting to the customers. So our business models, we have 4 business models: the institutional sales, Iralum stores, training and consultation, and wholesale export. We are actually started with institutional sales, and now we are live in our platform, Iralum stores. And during the COVID time also, we have started training and consultation for the low-skilled laborers, and so we're providing training for upskilling, and we are actually producing some clusters using the mastercraft artisans. So our traction of sales, like we started in 2019, the institutional sales, and we almost have this much of sales during that time. And the COVID time, actually, we went with some difficulties, and so we started promoting these products in online. So we launched our website in 2020, and by 2021, we actually started exporting and also the training and consultation. So these are the main business model of ours. So basically, this is a roadmap we incorporated in 2019, and In 2019, December, we incubated in Kerala Startup Mission. And the pandemic time, we have launched our website with cool, amazing products, mainly the handmade and handcrafted products that are manufactured by us. And later, we started to adding other ventures or artisans products for promoting their products, also for helping them for upskilling and livelihood, affecting their livelihood products. So then later in GIF, we are started working with the UNDP and Kerala Haritha Kerala Mission for working with the tribal communities in Kerala. So our next goals are, we are modifying our marketplace with some amazing features and innovations, and also we are going to start some regional business programs for providing a marketplace for the local vendors. And also we are planning a fellowship and internship program for design thinking workshops also. And also we are doing diversification of new products because the customer demanding innovative and utility products. And also we are providing digitization and a more direct connection to the global supply chains, like collaborating with the corporates also. Also, we are collaborating with other ventures in Kerala or in outside Kerala, because there are so many startups who are working in the eco-friendly sustainable field. And also in Kerala, we are actually have 10 more clusters, and we are actually planning 20 more clusters by 2020. And also we are started to expand into foreign countries. So with the team, myself, Harsha Budisheri, I'm the founder and managing director, and next co-founder is Nitin Raj. So basically, this is all about Iralu. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Iralu. Next, we have Bhumi. Bhumi Women's Collective Private Limited, who are on their way to making the earth a better place for living by recycling waste. Bhumi, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Isabel Thomas, and I will be representing the Bhumi Women's Collective team. We are a social initiative which upcycles tailoring excess into a range of creative soft toys called Kalipatam. At Bhumi, our products lead to a green Bhumi for you and me. So we are currently following a hub and spoke model where the centralized hub consists of our design, marketing, and management team of 12 women with decades of collective experience in various fields. Our production spokes consist of Kudumbashree units in both Munnar and Cochin, which we hope to replicate and expand across Kerala. Our problem statement is threefold, which basically consists of issues of child safety, solid waste management, and economic vulnerability of women. Under the issues of child safety, we notice that some of the current toys in the market have choking hazards, sharp parts, or hyperallergic contents. And under the solid textile waste management, we noticed that the existing system leads to tailoring waste, which is either burnt or ends up in landfills, leading to further air, soil, and groundwater pollution. With economic vulnerability of women, we noticed that unemployment was prevalent amongst underprivileged women across Kerala. This led to us trying to find and explore solutions for these problems. So firstly, we designed and created eco-friendly soft toys, which would reduce the risk to child safety. And secondly, we tackled the tailoring waste problem by ensuring that we are upcycling this waste with less capital-intensive production and minimal environmental disruption. Thirdly, we created livelihood opportunities for Kudumbashree women in collection of tailoring waste, toy manufacturing, and quality checks. As part of our solution, initially we came up with 3 products, which is hand puppets, good or bad touch demo dolls, and vibrant plushies. So the hand puppets promote motor skills, creativity, and narration skills. The good or bad touch dolls also help with dressing up skills, such as shoelace tying and buttoning up the buttons, which will also ensure and help kids get ready for school. So the good or bad touch dolls are so important in this day and age to ensure that the children can understand what is a good touch and a bad touch. And last but not the least, we have the vibrant plushies, which is every child's companion, which is not only colorful and attractive, but also encourages love for nature and her creatures. As Bhumi was getting ready for market entry, we noticed that we had an unforeseen challenge, which was BIS certification was made mandatory for all our products. So to tackle this, in the meanwhile, we diversified our products into vibrant cushions and laptop bags. And in the first month of sales, Bhumi has sold over 100 units. So the vibrant cushions are currently come in a line called Under the Sea, which also promotes children's love for nature and her creatures. And our laptop bags, basically the padding is shredded excess, and this ensures that we reduce the sponge, which is usually coming in most of the laptop bags. Coming to our roadmap. So our immediate future, we are hoping to have market expansion. And for the soft cushions, we are hoping to get this as an add-on for car sales, home sales, and renovations. And with files and laptop bags, we are hoping to have collaboration with conferences and corporate gifting. And with our soft plushies, we hope to get the BIS certification and market our colorful plushies to educational, which are both educational and attractive to children. And in the long run, we hope to get and achieve a niche market where electronic plushies with embedded musical narratives and folklore can be sold. And along with that, these products will ensure that the children will imbibe cultural values through storytelling. Coming to what the Bhumi team is looking for, we're looking for partnerships with prospective conferences and corporate gifting, collaboration with event organizers to cater to any gifting requirements, and corporates supporting environment initiatives through CSR. We would also like to thank the GIF team for guiding us and the KSUM for providing us with this platform. Thank you.
Amazing. The next startup will be coming up for the pitching will be the Riot Logic. Riot Logic would decide to develop and deliver industrial IoT products and solutions for the fourth generation industrial needs. Riot, all over to you. Riot Logic?
Hello?
Yeah, you're ready? The timer has started, okay? Thank you.
Sure. No worries, no issues. So, welcome everyone, good evening. So, myself Kailash, I'm representing Riot Logic Private Limited. So, just give you a brief about Riot Logic. So, we are an electronic design and manufacturing firm with our aim and focus and expertise in IoT-based products and solutions in industrial applications. So we started in 2017, and as we went along, we saw that there's a huge opportunity in the agricultural sector. So we started our Riot Agritech. So Riot Agritech currently focuses on the five sectors. That's the poultry farming, fish farming, hydroponics, mushroom farming, and food processing industry. So currently, what we came up with is for the fish farming, a solution for fish farming, and that's how we got incorporated with Green Innovation Fund and the UNDP program. So just before going to a solution, I like just to introduce our team. So Akshay Joy is our founder and director. He has 6+ years of experience in the embedded domain. Anis is our technical director who takes care of our hardware and technical expertise. Deepu Joy is our product and hardware head, and myself, Kailash, I take care of the business side of the company. So coming to the problem statement, so what we saw was a lot of biofloc farmers have started putting up installations, but one of the core problems that they faced was due to loss of oxygen supply, power supply, there was a lot of yield being lost. So one of the core reasons was being unable to know or get alerted when the power supply happened, when there was a shortage in oxygen, because these bioflocs are very short in surface area. So a lot of fishes in a small surface area needs a continuous supply of oxygen. And in the current existing solutions, all the parameters have to be monitored manually. So it needs a 24/7 monitoring by a person. And still there's a lack of knowledge and training among these farmers. So when you look at biofloc farming, fish farming, so currently the sectors which are affected the most are biofloc sector and shrimp sector, where the shrimp cultivation also happens in a biofloc manner. So based on what we saw, we came through a product of a span across 3 phases. So this is our primary product which we had launched, which is the pumpers, which is an oxygen monitoring system. So basically gives alerts to the farmers when there is a drop in oxygen pressure or there's a loss in power supply. Coming to a second system. So the first system was basically for our basic farmers. So when you come to the intermediate farmer, we saw that they needed a system where they could regulate their aerator pumps. So what happens is they have to regulate the aerator pumps based on their fixed time. So say 1 hour for one pump and second hour for the second pump. So it should keep alternating between each hour. So we built a system where the automation could happen and our system will automatically control the operation and monitoring. And if there is any supply failure, then the farmers will get alerted through SMS or through calls. Now coming to our advanced system, that is the Sensei, which is a sensor-based system. So coming to the advanced farmers where they need to know the water quality also. So in order to know the water quality, you need to have sensors such as pH, TDS, dissolved oxygen. So this system will entirely handle the bioflow. So taking multiple parameters from the system, it will control the entire bioflow farming. So this kind of farming will have more than 8 to 12 tanks. So what are the benefits that we have provided with our solution is that there's a reduce in yield loss, increase in yield quality, and reduction in harvesting period. So looking at the normal methods, the usual harvesting time is somewhere around 8 months. With our system, you can reduce it by 2 months, around 25% reduction. So these are a couple of images that you can see where we have implemented our systems. And our future system, that is the Sensei, can also be it's a cloud-based system where the farmer can monitor all his parameters in an app or through a desktop. So looking at our traction of sales, we started our pumpers. So we have sold around 86 numbers in the pump manager, 28 numbers, and with the help of Green Innovation Fund and UNDP, we are currently in field trial mode with our Sensei. So looking at our roadmap ahead, what we would like to do is expand to other states such as Maharashtra, Odisha, Andhra, and West Bengal, where similar biofloc farming, shrimp cultivation is done in huge numbers. We would like to also collaborate with major fisheries and oceanic institutes and research centers so that we can also collaborate with them and use the data and to provide successful insights, which can be taken as feedback, also improve our system for future use. Looking at our immediate plans, what we are looking at is exploring opportunities and business connects, and also looking at grants and future expansion opportunities and scale up so that we can reach a larger audience and even go beyond India and to rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ride Logic. Next, we have Tushan coming for the next pitch. Tushan, who came into existence with a goal to provide a replacement for the current disposable plastic utensils on the market. Tushan, are you ready?
Vinay, could you please unmute and speak?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vinay Kumar Balakrishnan. I am from Veer Naturals Private Limited. My brand name is Tushan. We are actually manufacturer of biodegradable tableware from agricultural waste, basically edible wheat bran. So our tagline is husk to rusk. So our team is comprising of founder members. Myself, Vinay Kumar Balakrishnan, I'm the founder and CEO. Mrs. Indra, who is the founder and CFO, and Mr. Rohit is the founder technical director. So our team has experience with international exposure in sales, management, and technical know-how. Our dream is to create an affordable eco alternative to single-use plastic cutleries. So we have identified the problem. Like very recently, India and all countries have banned single-use plastic effective 1st January 2022 without any alternative product for the public. So people are put to a lot of difficulties. So we have a solution. We have an alternative which is eco-friendly, biodegradable, so that people won't move back to plastic. This also solves a lot of environmental issues currently facing the world with income generation to local farmers as well as the millers. This is our deal slide. As you can see on the top, these are various products which is available. And on the middle, you can see the backwaters of Alleppey, which is the most polluted in Kerala due to plastic and other paper waste. So our products, it can be safely eaten if you want after your meal, or after single use, it can be reused as cattle feed, poultry feed, fish feed, organic manure, or you can even burn it. So our technical collaboration with NIST CSIR Labs, Government of India in Trivandrum, they are our technology partners. And our products, we have already launched. We have already launched the plates and the straws, and as well as the plastic carry bags we already launched. So we are yet to launch the cutlery range, which is expected by around June. So this is our roadmap ahead. We are already in the final discussion for expanding and contract manufacturing by increasing our production in UP, Gujarat and Karnataka in 6 months. Discussion is on the final stages. So, and introduction of biodegradable cutlery range before the end of the year, all forks, knife, and etc. And we are also planning to introduce the takeaway boxes, basically for the hotels and everything, compartment plates for the Indian Railways, etc., as an alternative to plastic by end of the year. So we also have overseas inquiries from Russia, Romania, Australia, and USA for setting up the plans. So thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you so much, Tushan. Next, we have Zeva Feeds, who are redefining what waste can do by finding ways to reinstate this losing ecological balance by cultivating the black soldier flies. Over to you.
Hi, thanks, Kasturi. So, my name is Anisha Gampi. I'm the founder and the CM of Zeva Systems. So first of all, on this auspicious occasion, I would like to thank Kerala Startup Mission and UNDP, as well as Hyderabad Foundation for giving this wonderful opportunity to be a part of this Green Innovation Program, as well as Huddle Global 2022. So coming back to SIVA, SIVA actually stands for Zero Waste, and our mission is to reduce the global food wastage and provide highly protein-rich livestock feeds to the farmers. For that, let me introduce myself to those who are with me in this mission. We have Mr. Nildev Mulakya. He is the founder and CEO of the company. Mrs. Jyotia Jyotikuma. She is the co-founder and the business development executive. And we have Mr. Mohammed Usafan. He is our product development specialist. And now I'm inviting Josie. She will tell you about that problem that we are addressing and its solution. Josie, over to you.
Thanks, Anusha. Hi all, my name is Joji. So I'll be talking through the problem statement we address and the solution. So currently hectares of lands are needed for plant-based protein production, and this results in a low profit margin, hence the producers are forced to add extra additives, resulting in low quality feed products. This in turn reduces the yield of livestock farming, and this current scenario makes the life of farmers miserable, and this is a huge roadblock for developing countries. In short, SIVA feeds focus on the problem of lack of quality and affordable fish feeds and poultry feeds in Indian market due to limitations of plant-based proteins. For this global issue, SIVA introduces you to our product, SIVA Port, which is a home-based waste management system, which converts waste to insect feeds. Process of maggot farming, the larvae which has 40% protein in their body, converts organic waste into feeds. These insects have natural antioxidants in their body, which results in 80% lower mortality rate. Our proposed solution fits perfectly into a circular economy. A highly scalable micro-franchising business model incorporated with IoT and vertical farming will result in a highly efficient, sustainable farming, providing quality and affordable fish feeds and poultry feeds. Now, Nikhil will talk about the testimony and the sales traction. Over to you, Nikhil.
Thanks, Joji and Anshak. So as part of GIF program, last year in the Jan, we did conduct a interview of the farmers, livestock farmers. And we started from high range livestock farmers, basically from Idukki. And after surveying more than 20 plus farmers, what we figured out is there's a huge scarcity of good quality protein feeds. And since they are in the high ranges, they have to travel a long distance to get the feed. And even after getting that feed, after all the efforts and paying heaps of, that's up to approximately 60 to 70% of the cost, what they get is a lot of poor quality feeds. So after doing all the farming and when they harvest after 6 months of effort, what they see is a lot of sand in the biofloc, which means there is a lot of additives added to the feed. So we selected one of the farmers who was Sindhu Chako. She's a Kashrasri Award winner. So we distributed one of the SIVA pods to her, and she has been using, so she has a lot of poultry farming as well. So she gets a lot of reject eggs. So what she did is she fed these reject eggs into the SIVA pod, which in turn convert those into the larvae, and she used that as a feed for the biofloc to feed her fish. So this actually reduced her demand for external purchased feed, which is of low quality, and this has resulted in higher yield. And not just the yield, if we look at the bigger impacts, when we scale this in an industrial commercial level, this will not only make improve the livestock farmers' lives, it also reduces a lot of greenhouse gas emissions from the bio waste, because essentially these feeds are produced from waste. So we are saving a lot of waste that would have otherwise ended up in landfills. So since the launch over the 3 months, we have seen a lot of skyrocketing demand for our SIVA pod. It was in the trial mode for the first 2 months, and we improved, and there was a lot of revisions. And we also did the field study of our SIVA feed. That's actually dried BSF larvae, these particular maggots. So that's what happened to us in the last 3-4 months. And GIF has been an amazing platform. And from now on, we are focusing more on the commercial production as well as pushing the SIVA pod sales. So we have our first production plant that's being set up in Thrissur with a capacity of 0.5 ton larvae getting produced every day. That's scheduled to commence launch in next 3-4 months. That's under construction, as well as we are getting more inquiries on the SIVA pod to help the real farmers out there. So that's what's happening from our end, and that's our future roadmap. And we welcome all the opportunities ahead and for any business collaborations or any further guidance. And that's our team. Siva, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Vivifika, who developed state-of-the-art source-level waste management products. Vivifika, are you ready?
Yes. Hello. Am I audible? Hopefully I'm audible, yeah.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Dilip Matthews, the co-founder of Vivifika Sustainable Solutions. We focus on providing sustainable solutions in the field of waste management. And today I'll be presenting a product which is a compact advanced biogas plant. So first, let me introduce my teams. I'm Dilip, and I met my colleague, Mr. Vinay Thomas, in my graduate program in Vaishali. And that's where the seeds of this idea germinated. We take care of the engineering side of the business. Our colleague, Mr. Nitin Thomas, he takes care of the finance and accounting side, while Aws Johnny takes care of the, he's responsible for marketing and strategic planning. Now, most urban dwellers face this problem of inefficient door-to-door waste collection, and the available source-level waste treatment plants systems are quite inconvenient and unhygienic. For example, composting bins, etc. Now, this problem is, amplified for the restaurant industry because they produce a huge amount of waste every day. For example, a medium-sized 50 kg, 50-seater system produces about 30 to 50 kgs of waste a day. And these restaurants have lots of constraints, the biggest being limited space. And the existing source-level waste treatment systems for the restaurant industry have issues of being very labor-intensive. They require specialized training. They actually take up a lot of energy and resources. So what usually happens is that a lot of this waste is then dumped, untreated, and it is a major source of greenhouse emissions. Now, our solution to this problem is a compact automated biogas plant. We have envisaged this product as a consumer appliance, a hassle-free consumer appliance with savings in cooking fuel. Now, compared to conventional biogas system, which I dare say is quite agricultural, is quite clunky, our product is designed as a standard consumer appliance. Our novel technologies make it a small size system, a compact system, and it's also very flexible in the sense that if the customer wants it partially indoor, partially outdoor, we can all do that. It has a lot of mechanical systems, which makes it quite safe and hygienic. And we are also automated it, which makes it the product is basically feed and forget. That's it. Just feed and forget. So for a restaurant, they treat their waste at source, which means independency from waste collectors, and in return they get valuable cooking fuel. So this is how it works. The customer just has to add the organic waste into a ergonomically designed waste station. Then the automated system takes over, and it is sent to our advanced digester. So this is novel. It's a novel technology. Here we have a lot of process control measures, which usually what happens in conventional biogas plants is there are a lot of process instabilities in food-based biogas. So we we have solved that problem. Then the output biogas is purified, which means that it doesn't have the usual rotten egg smell, which we usually associate with biogas. And then it is compressed and stored. The biogas produces enough for about 20 to 30% of the daily cooking needs of a restaurant. So just to give an example, 100 kg food waste biogas plant will produce biogas which is equivalent to one LPG cylinder. So the ROI is within 2 to 3 years. For bigger plants, it's even earlier. Then the digestate, what happens to the digestate is in the liquid form, and we treat it in a post-treatment chamber. So this can be directly connected to the STP plant. So currently we have installed and tested a working model, a small-scale working model. It can be used for households. Next, right now we are installing a pilot product under the GIF program. Then we have also filed for a patent for a novel technology which is used in the digester. And every restaurant owner we speak to are very excited about our product. So as I said, this is the pilot project. It is in KTDCT County, which is a resort in Munnar. We are doing it for their staff canteen with the 30-day daily waste generation. So this will be our future roadmap. We'll be finishing our installation by this month. By May, we'll be doing a soft launch. And we are confident by the end of this year, we'll be selling about 20 units. So yeah, thank you. I take this opportunity to thank Jeff and everyone behind it for supporting us in our journey. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now we enter to a question answer session. I'll be reading out a few questions that has come out, and will be directing to who I'll be asking this to. The first question that has come to us is the current union budget 2022-2023 mentions about Kisan drones. How will it impact the startups in India working in agri sector using drones? This has been directed to Devan of Fuselage.
Hi.
Hi.
Actually, the Kisan drone is the great initiative by the Ministry of Agriculture, because the ministry, the key intention is to be the drone should be reached in the down level, like everyone should be used. So, and the future is there, and there is so much conservation of pesticides, nutrients, and even if they the farmers over deposition of pesticide is also causing some a severe impact in between in soil and also in climate also. So there are a number of precision farming technique can be used in with the drone. So so the initiative will be ultimately a good a sustainable practice in between agriculture ecosystem. So that's it.
Devan, one quick question, something which came up. So since you are one of the drone startup from Kerala, how do you think this has an opportunity for you, you as a startup?
Yes, that we have been a proficiency in around last 2 years. We working with the agriculture ecosystem, and we came to know some challenges, and our products now meet the corresponding challenges, and we have our prototypes can ensure the better effective efficacy is we can much provide to when comparing other competitors also in the same ecosystem. So we more engaging, and we may expand as a even if it is in a service model, and also franchisee model is also is happening. So we think as in proficiency, we may expand our business. The business growth rate will be more in between next 1 year.
Amazing. If you have any questions, please do type it in the chat box. We'll be taking in more questions as well. And the second question that we got is whether price sensitivity to alternate products to plastics is a challenge for startups working in that segment. What are the strategies that are commonly used to address this? This is directed to Harsha from Aeroloom and Vinay from Tushan.
I can start, Harsha. Yeah, this is the one of the biggest challenge we have right now, because we are expecting the plastic ban to be coming into force effective 1st July. Because right now the manufacturers have been asked to stop production. Circular has already been issued, and first in the list is Reliance. And 20 companies have been identified as the most promising or hazardous polluter in India, and which includes Indian Oil Corporation. So this has been already given the warning by the government of India, and they are actually working on a weekly performance basis. So they have to reduce the production of single-use plastic raw materials, which ultimately leads to the reduction of available alternatives of plastic. So then only the price sensitivity factor will come to end. Otherwise, once availability is there, naturally people will start to again buy. So this is one thing. Second thing is, you can reduce the pricing only by increasing the production. So that is where we are right now. So we have just started. Now we have got everything right. So once we expand to increase the production, and can promise you the products, the large plates or whatever it is, it will be lesser than the currently available products in the market. Not to plastic, but other plastic alternatives.
Harsha, would you like to add on to this?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening. So yeah, I have the same exact opinion like Vanessa said. The prices is actually a challenging thing, but what we are doing is actually providing awareness and promoting these kind of products. So we all know that we can't compare the price with the plastic products now. So we are providing awareness, and so start using these kind of products also for reducing this kind of single-use plastic. That's the only solution.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vinay and Harsha. Now, the third question that has come to us is, can automated biogas plant be used on large scale and challenges while building large scale units? This is directed to Renu from Vivifika.
So yeah, Dilip, yes, it can be done, but our product is basically for source level treatments. For big plants, there are lots of big plants, lots of technologies which are used in European countries, but then they have the problem of centralized collection, which is the centralized collection should be proper, but that is not happening in India. So usually what happens to most waste to energy plants in India is that they don't work out. Most of them have shut shop. So our technology can be used. There is potential for it, but we are right now focusing on source level systems, which can smaller scale systems, relatively smaller scale systems. Yeah,
thank you so much, Dilip. We do have another question. How helpful was GIF platform for startups based on toys made out of waste, and how we can reach out to children from low-income families and vulnerable families? This is to Nirmala ma'am from Bhumicraft.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yes, we can reach out. That's what we are looking for. For instance, right now, when we launched based on yesterday's platform, we had a query from Master Medicity from a doctor asking whether they can source these products for children who are undergoing, chemotherapy there. So we were thinking, yes, one is we can certainly tap in CSR funds to support Anganwadis and deserving people, That is something that, good feel to the kids. It's really worth it. So such deserving kids. And second is, we are also now, the GIF was really a starting point. Otherwise, we would never have had the guts to go into it. That is a starting point. But that starting point really set us off. Now we have also got NIT funding, the Niti Aayog funding to develop electronic soft toys with musical narratives of our folklore and things like that. Okay. So there, what we are thinking of is we will have electronic embedded narratives as well as, that is a bit expensive, but if we have a soft toys with QR codes, which enables them to access these. Now the grandparents don't have time to listen to the stories. People don't read books like we used to do when we were young. So if we can relate these traditional stories to them and they can access it through a QR code, I think that will be reasonably priced and we can reach out to most of these. And regarding when we just talked about the concept itself, we are having queries from play schools. Okay, but those are private play schools like Kidsy and things who can really afford to. So what we would like to do is again tap CSR funding to provide it to Anganwadis. Those where, you reach out to the real marginalized, but that product will take some time, but then that I think we can do it.
Absolutely beautiful. Amazing. Now we do have more questions regarding the innovation that Zeva is doing, whether similar initiatives have happened in India and what was the response for it. This is to Nikhil from Zeva.
Yeah, hi. There's a bit irony in this one because insect farming has been in the focus for like all over the world for the last decade. And it's made all the researchers, all the big leaps are happening, say in Canada, Europe, and Australia. And the biggest irony here is the species we use, that our tropical areas are the natural habitats for them. So they actually put all the effort, all the funding, and to equip all the parameters like the temperature and all to set up their plants to cultivate this particular species. But we can do that naturally. So, but there is no big movements in India, to be very honest. There are a few startups probably in the similar stages or for plus or minus, but there's no single project that's taking all over India. And especially in Kerala, there is another project doing the insect farming, at least not in the formal startup domain. There are few people trying to do in home base, but that's not real way because we need IoT and a lot of technology to be done on this. If we want to use that on if we want to scale, we have to make use of the technologies available today. So that's, I think, one advantage we have. All of us are mainly from engineering background, and I used to be abroad. So we have a bit exposure to the IoTs and the latest Industry 4 things happening. So we're pretty excited. But to answer your question, there's no real competitors. There's competitors, but I think it's a slightly different. No big players yet. And yeah, that answer.
That's great, actually. Right. Now we have another last question, actually. How can we bridge the gap between rural innovators and technology adapters from the experience of Creativity Council? James, are you there?
Yes. Actually, rural innovators, one of the biggest challenge they are facing is marketing of their innovation and also developing their innovation as per the standards of consumers. These are two bottlenecks. Most of the innovations are at prototype stage or function prototype stage. You need a design input and you support for commercialization. So we are providing a platform for rural innovators to convert their prototype into a commercial product and also help in marketing their products at national, at global level.
That's amazing. Do we have any more questions? Is there anybody, any startups who would like to ask each other questions?
If there isn't any more question, I guess we can have a 1 minute open mic to all the startups here to kind of share anything as a closure note. Like, I request anyone, if you want to speak, raise your hand, and then so that we can give you speaking right and go ahead. Maybe you can talk about the GIF pilot you are doing in the location, because in the presentation, the pitching, if you have not talked about the exact pilot, probably there's an opportunity. Thank you.
Tanis, I would like to add 2 notes there. So, sorry.
Yeah, so I request please raise your hand.
I was just saying.
So that we avoid that confusion. So it's, I guess first Nikhil raised the hand, and then it's James, and then Dharmala ma'am, you can go third.
Yeah, hi Tanis, thanks. So I would like to really thank all the efforts put behind this JIP program, especially from UNDP and KSUM. It has been immense support for us. And over the last 1 year, we would have been where we are today without JIP happening, to be very honest. And I was in Australia at that point, and the main reason that gave me confidence to quit my comfortable full-time job and come to Kerala and take the risk was actually JIP, to be very honest. And with our team and running all everywhere and getting connections through JIP, and Tony, I'm amazingly supportive. And the UNDP team has been immensely supportive to our journey and helped us to reach to the real farmers out there. We wouldn't have never been able to go to Idiki and talk to the farmers unless maybe it would have taken 4 or 5 years, but that happened in 1 year, and heaps of thanks to JIP.
I think James next.
Yeah. Actually, I also want to thank you, NDP and KSUM team for the support extended to us to reach the remote parts of Kerala and Idiki. Kudos for all the team from UNDP, KSUM. And I have one suggestion. Actually, UNDP has a wide network all over India, not only over India, global level. So this network can help us to replicate our products, replicate our product and process across India, not only in India and across the globe. So I request UNDP support to replicate the products through the UNDP network. UNDP has network with the NGOs and other stakeholders. So I request the support from UNDP to replicate the process national and global level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nirmala ma'am?
Yeah, thank you, Dhanaj and Tony. Without you people, we would not have I would never have dreamt of sales traction. I'll always remember that. Okay, I'm sure we will, as James, don't worry, I think they will handhold us. We are so naturally that will happen. But what I wanted to also ask was, all these such socially productive if you can upload it on a either some central this not only this JIF fund but projects but also others. I think all the local governments we can support. All the local governments, make it accessible to them. What exactly a small write-up and the contact and what how it will benefit the farmers there or the the keepers there or what kind of thing, that I think it should reach out to all 1,000 odd local bodies across Kerala so that Kerala really benefits. So that if we can circulate it all the local bodies, I think it'll be great.
Absolutely. Dhanaj?
There are others also who raised, I think, Vinay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. See, first, good evening, everybody. First of all, this was an excellent platform where I could meet so many different people and different type of industries and other things. We had a wonderful time at Munnar also. And the support from Tony, Dhanaj, and all the people were really, really helpful in our journey. And biggest surprise for me was I got a call from UNDP Nepal, UNDP Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and I think Pakistan also for the products. So this was really a surprise for me. Actually, I never expected calls from other countries. So they were very, very specific about when you can get the products. So this was actually really a surprise for me. And thank you, Tony, for giving this opportunity. We'll really appreciate it. Of course, my products is set to come to Idiki, but it's already reached, but the groundwork I have to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devan.
Hi.
Yes, Devan.
And first of all, I'm convey our sincere thanks and apart from the Fuselage Innovations to entire team. Without this team, because we can't raise a work order from the corresponding agriculture ecosystem partners. So we of course we also face some challenges in initial days, and first of all we started with the research and trials in field, and we have to prove the technology. It's really creating an impact in between them. So and of course everyone in the entire team in background who working onto this, they helped us to connect the different partners in between. And also yeah, and also even after proving this technology in between stakeholders, we came to face multiple opportunities in with the other ecosystem. So thank you, and thank you so much for the entire thing.
Thank you so much, Devan. Harsha?
Yes, hi, good evening all. So first of all, thank you for UNDP and Kerala Startup Mission for all the supports. For me, like GIF is actually got an opportunity to work with the tribals. That was an amazing thing happened with IRALU, because we were able to find some real talents and real artistic products from the tribal side also. So we are developing it and we are providing training, and also we are looking forward for collaborating with other vendors and promoting these kind of handicraft products to the global market level. So thank you for all the support, and we're expecting more from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And from Riot Logic Private Limited?
Yeah, what I'd like to say is with GIF and UNDP, we got to connect with the right set of stakeholders. So with this program, we got to know what are the key problems that are faced by the farmers with our system, with the solution they have. And also UNDP and GIF, and along with Dhanaj and Tony, were key in getting us the connect to KUFOS, Kerala University for Oceanaries and Fisheries. So it was through your platform that we were able to reach an institute which is specifically dedicated to oceanary and fisheries. So for solutions like us, we need a technical expertise also in the core field. So it was one of the biggest advantages. And also Dhanaj has helped us in various other aspects in meeting other people who are key to our network. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tony sir, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah, it was an amazing journey over the last 1 year. Maybe in the final stages, maybe the 1-2 months, we'll be completing the whole GIF program. So anyway, many thanks to all the startups. So from the first day itself, they were very clear. They want to really do an impact on the ground, make a difference in the life of people and also in the climatic space. Anyway, all the best for your future endeavors, and I hope that you'll be able to achieve your vision in the future. Thank you, and thanks a lot to the Startup Mission team. So they were amazing team. So at any time of the day, we can call them, talk to them. They have spent so much time for this program. I think this would be a good starting point for the Social Impact Accelerator program around climatic change. Thanks a lot, Startup Mission team. Thank you.
Dhanaj, would you like to add something in?
Thanks, Kasturi, and I'll take this opportunity for the concluding note, the final concluding note. It was amazing listening to all those startups here, and we had a pretty diverse portfolio in these 11 startups. So as you might have observed, the first 2 were working purely on the agri-tech vertical, and one was working in a very high-end technology, the drones. The other person was working on the drudgery reduction on a, not even a tech. You can't say there is any technology involved, but it was more of the hardware design. So 2 extremes of the technology on agri-tech, and then we have 2 teams working on the human-animal conflict on similar themes, but on using different modalities of. One was more for an institution, like for the forest department to spot lethal, like for example the leopard or any carnivorous animal kind of crossing over and coming to human settlement, in order to kind of give a notification. That was more working collaboration with the institution, like the forest department. The other person was working on private farmers. If for example, if an elephant is coming, or if a wild boar is coming to private farm. How can you kind of do it? So the stakeholders were entirely different, but on similar themes. And the other two, Harsha and the Ira Loom and Bhumi, they were working with the women collectives and more on the livelihood vertical, but two different final objective. One was looking at more on reducing the waste, the tailor waste to be specific and have an amazing upcycled product. The other hand, the other team was looking at utilizing a resource and kind of introduce an alternative product, replacing a environmentally hazardous product which is already there in vogue. So, and then there was energy on energy vertical. There was one team working on the biogas plant, the other team working on more on energy related aspect. And then waste management, we had a team working on upcycling, utilizing converting the restaurant and household waste to a updated product, upcycled product. And we missed one startup here, the EcoDew, who was working on the water vertical as well. So it was a pretty diverse portfolio, and all of them came into the program with a very specific objective and very intense objective. And that was an amazing journey to be. I'm just quickly going through the slide. We had soft launched this Green Innovation Fund in September 2020. In fact, the entire discussion regarding such a program was kind of mooted in the January, February of 2020. And thanks to UNDP kind of coming to us and kind of discussing, like, can we look at innovation to kind of address some of the problem they have kind of came across. I mean, they have observed in the locality they were working. So UNDP was doing this project. So since 2017 there, and they know the location and landscape like anything. So and they kind of want to kind of converge. So as Anusha was kind of speaking in the last round table, so this was more of collaboration, and at that spirit they came to Startup Mission and kind of looked at the problem statements and want to kind of connect with startups who can address those problem statements and kind of develop to a product. So with that objective in mind, we looked at startups, mainly early stage startup. We didn't want to kind of go and have an established startup to kind of, mostly the early stage startups who may be working this particular vertical, who may have a solution in a different geography. So we kind of positioned Green Innovation Fund as a program where they can expand to a new demography. Like it's a highly challenging demography, the Munnar region, because as Harsha was mentioning it, the terrain is different. The community here is more tribal and different kind of communities are there. So it's a different terrain. It's a challenging terrain. So even if you have a product which kind of worked in a different region, for example, Devan's product, he was working with the paddy farmers in other part of Kerala. So we said, okay, you have a product which is working on paddy. Can you kind of check it with the tea estate farm, the tea estates in Munnar? So will that work? So we were giving them a new dimension. So that was one approach we kind of selected and looked into various ideas and startups who applied against this problem statement. So there were around 200 plus application, 200 plus problem statement, ideation, innovation match, use case match we had. And we went through a rigorous 2 months of kind of, multiple round of evaluation and validation to kind of come across this cohort. So initially when we thought of this program, the plan was like, we may take a smaller cohort of say 5 startups or 7 startups, so that we will be able to manage. But then when the applications came and then the evaluation happened, when we looked at the quality of the ideas, we don't want to kind of miss out on the good ideas people were coming in. And thanks UNDP for kind of understanding that and kind of giving us this leeway to kind of if you're confident that you can handle more startups, please have a larger cohort. And that's why from 5 to 7 startup it went to 11 startup cohort, and with such diverse portfolio. The application, and on that note, I should also thank Seema ma'am and Saji sir. Seema ma'am was one of the guiding light and kind of from Hyder Kerala Mission initially when she was in 2020. And she kind of gave us the clear direction and clear sense of what kind of problem statements and what kind of ideas we should look forward. And Sajid sir, the ex-CEO of Startup Mission at that point, he also was very clear what should be the kind of ideas and startups which we should kind of give the grant to. So once the startups were selected, we again had a rigorous process of understanding why we should use the grant and what kind of grant, what should be the milestone. So this was more of a milestone based program. We had clearly defined these will be the milestone, and you have to use the grant only for mostly to kind of meet those time milestones. And despite being the disruptions in COVID, because this, unlike a typical startup, the startups were supposed to go to Munnar and spend time there, interact with the stakeholders. So this was more challenging. So despite being COVID and the travel restrictions and everything, all the startups kind of took the time and went there, interacted with the stakeholders. And the other key part of the entire GIF program was we were connecting them with the relevant stakeholders. Like KTDC was one stakeholder. The tea estate owners were the stakeholder, farmers were there. So all of them, these startup has to sit with them to kind of fine tune their product. And in fact, the MVP they developed, they have to kind of sit there. In case of Riot, it was fish farmers in the region. So they have to kind of install the system, the product there, and kind of get the feedback. And all the startups has done amazing resilience to kind of complete it and within the kind of time duration we had. So by December, most of them had developed the product, and today it's more of the closure. So just to kind of bucket the kind of ideas, these were the areas which we looked at: sustainable agriculture, waste management and solution, water and energy, human animal conflict, sustainable tourism, and livelihood. And also there were other who were working on the climate action more generally. And through GIF, this was something which we want to give. We want to give them a business and financial modeling, especially since the dynamics of a social impact entrepreneurship is entirely different. So we want to give them the taste of that. And in that vertical, we had a knowledge session. We had a knowledge track and a strategic advisory group. And for the knowledge track and strategic advisory group, the other partners also kind of collaborated with us. Will Grow came in, kind of took a session. Social Alpha came in and kind of take a session. So we tried to connect most of the other organizations working the space to kind of come over and kind of interact with the portfolio startups here. And the other thing which we kind of tried to provide was to give an institutional connect, maybe the institutional and connect to kind of other government departments, other agencies who is working in this space. We try to kind of refer and recommend the startups and try to have such conversation between the startups and the institution. So that I feel that we could fairly connect most of the startups with relevant institution in the field. And the third thing, and the final thing, was more of giving them a fund to develop the MVP and collaborating with the potential customer and co-developing and co-creating the use case with the development customers. So this was the entire objective, and this is something which we tried to give through GIF. And thanks to the Startup Mission team members, my colleague, and everyone who helped in kind of delivering this, and especially the UNDP and the Haritha Kerala Mission team as well. As a concluding note, I'll quickly, I know that you have already heard about all the startups. I thank all the startup founders who presented and quickly kind of run through what exactly were these people were working. So first, We're Natural. The Tushan was working on a biodegradable cutlery. Fuselag was working on the agriculture US for crop health monitoring and precision-based application for pesticide. Leopardtech was working on a camera trap-based model to detect animal presence, trespassing, and developing a dashboard for integrated conflict management system. Vivifica was working on a hassle-free premium indoor waste management application with added savings in cooking fuel. Creativity Council was working on the drudgery reduction, especially in the cassava uprooter, to reduce the drudgery and gender inequality, as physical strength is one of the key requirements for harvesting cassava. And in fact, they looked at other, taking cassava as the first use case, they looked at the other root-based crop as well. EcoDew, unfortunately, Nujum is traveling. He's there in Dubai to kind of commission another project. So he was not able to kind of join us in this demo day. He was working on a waste management, wastewater treatment plant, both for the tea estates, the tea estate, and for the dairy industry there. So he had in fact developed 2 pilots in the region in the limited duration of time. We had Farm365 was working on a radar-based device to detect animals and sound based on a sound and light-based system toward animals from entering to private property and farmlands. Iralum was working on matchmaking of traditional product made by artisans to a corporate buyer. It was more of a multi-vendor platform for eco-based products. Riot was working on a solution to monitor and alert various critical parameters of fish farm. And Seva was working on developing a modular based system to make any homemaker entrepreneurs and produce livestock feed from bio-waste. And finally, Bhumi was working on a community-based model for waste collection and toy creation. And they started off initially with the soft toys, and they were looking at the narratives and storyline suiting to the toys. And that's it. It was an amazing journey, and I once again thank all the startups founders of the portfolio. Thank you, and all the best for the future endeavor. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dhanaj. Now I hand this session over to Aishwarya Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Kasturi, and all the speakers who are out there. You have always been really good, and it was such an interesting discussion that we've had. So we are coming to the end of this Huddle Global 2022. So to give the final remarks, I would like to invite Mr. Varunji from Kerala Startup Mission.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Good evening, all of you. What a weekend it has been. In this time of online events and summits happening virtually, and an event like Huddle Global to be virtual was something we had put in so much of our effort to make it as interactive as possible. As we end today's event, I would like to thank you all for joining the summit. Your presence on these 2 days shows a strong commitment to the ecosystem and your interest in networking with the like minds. In particular, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the mentors, panelists, and speakers for sharing their expertise with us. Kerala Startup Mission is the nodal organization of the Government of Kerala for promoting entrepreneurship in the state. It is also the implementing body for the Kerala Technology Startup Policy that support the state's startup ecosystem through the various schemes and support programs. And even like Huddle, Global is conceptualized with an aim to bring together all the stakeholders of the startup ecosystem together in a single platform where we try to bridge the knowledge, technology, talent, investor gap, etc. I think this was particularly a welcome experience as the Honorable Chief Minister has himself graced the occasion with his thoughts of wisdom. Allow me in my closing remarks to highlight some of the key interaction that happened. Starting with the great news of acquisition of Agrima Infotech, the startup started its initial steps from the Kerala Startup Mission incubation, was acquired by Big Basket. Then came the announcement of MOU with partners, and they are Open Financial Technologies for setting up the FinTech Accelerator in the state, NASCOM for the Virtual Accelerator Program, GrowthX for the Market Access Accelerator Programs, Habitat Group for the Accelerator Programs for startups working in housing, technology, and sustainability, Google for Startups for providing tailored technical product and leadership training, JETRO for promoting startup in emerging technologies, GAN Accelerator for connecting startups to mentors, investors, industry leaders, and accelerators, CARV Startup Labs for connecting Kerala startups with startup ecosystems across the world. I would like to extend our big thanks to the partners of the event, Amazon Web Services, Intel, Kerala IT Parks, and Kerala Blockchain Academy. This brings us to the end of the 3rd edition of Huddle Global. The 2-day event witnessed participation from the state chief minister and from the people across the globe. The key success was the mentor clinic, which gave the opportunity to the startups to interact with the mentors in the discussion rooms virtually, and the startups who showcased their product also received good connections and feedbacks from the visitors. I would like to take this opportunity to wish success to all the entrepreneurs out there who strive to reach heights, and to all the other stakeholders who contributes to the success in an enterprise. On behalf of Kerala Startup Mission, I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to all those who took time to be part of this year's Huddle Global. Special mention also to the interns who have been working with us for Huddle Global from colleges, namely Mohandas College, Thiruvananthapuram, Asian School of Business, Thiruvananthapuram, and Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, Ernakulam. Let this be our opportunity to rise above all the bottlenecks collectively, to stand together, to work in partnership or collaboration to promote, support, and celebrate entrepreneurship that happens throughout the world. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Stay safe and stay connected. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Varun. So with that, we come to an end of Huddle Global 2022. Ends are not bad things. They just mean that something else is about to begin. And there are many things that don't really end. But anyway, they just begin again in a new way. So we hope to be back very soon with the latest edition of Huddle Global with a bigger and better impact next year. So I thank all of you who have joined with us once again. So until we meet next time, this is Aishwarya signing off. Goodbye.